That just looks angry.
Hmm? I'm still playing Cyberpunk. I'm about to turn it off. I promise.
Way to prepare. Wow.
Wow.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the very first episode of Hear Us Out. Almost said the wrong title then. I've already almost messed it up. I'm your host, Kamilian, and I'm joined by two friends and a pack of rats dressed as a human.
Is that me?
Trying to
Am
guess
I the
which
pack of
one's
rats?
which.
That's up for you to figure out, but I don't know
I mean,
who's
that is
who.
a giant pack of rats, but
I don't know
All right,
who's who,
fine. I'm turning my fucking game off.
but I do know their names. I'm joined by Matt, Mitch, and Tegan.
Oh, this is going well.
We didn't even get the first minute down. There's already a swear word in it, so that's going to go great for YouTube.
My sick is not even that drunk yet.
Oh, this is going to be glorious. So, tonight, we're proposing the question amongst ourselves. What game do you have to constantly defend liking? That's what we're going to be answering tonight. Feel free to throw anything in the chat. Otherwise, anyone want to kick us off?
Open the chat.
I nominate Matt.
Why do you nominate me?
I'm happy to kick us off if you want, but otherwise...
Yeah, right. Kami, you lead.
Oh, I'm happy to jump. Oh, no, I'll kick it off. Fuck it, because Cummy's always talking on his show.
They need a break.
I mean, it's my show, right?
They need a break.
I mean, sure, like...
All right, Matt.
Ah,
So what game, Matt, do you have to constantly defend liking?
So I've got two big ones, right? And both of them pretty much for the same reason.
If it's
So,
all right, we'll start with one for now.
Yeah, but yeah, so the first one I'm going to go into, but
Yep.
this is sort of an overarching theme for me. So it's less defending the game itself. Like the game, look, it was probably a solid 7 or an 8 when I was playing it. Like I kind of enjoyed it, but it was a 7 or an 8 when I played it. But online, it got absolutely panned. And the biggest reason for that panning online is the internet built so much hype around it. So the first game I'm going to pull out, it's an old one. It's actually gotten way better as well, but No Man's Sky.
Oh yeah,
The
when it
internet,
first came out.
absolutely. The internet, but the thing is, the developers actually did nothing wrong on this. Like, I get really annoyed when I pay for a AAA platinum title, like go out and pay $100 for a game and it doesn't run day one, right? I get really frustrated by shit like that. But at the same time, like, the game was smooth, the game loaded, the game did everything that the developers promised it would do. The community online had built up so much hype for this game that it was going to be the game to end all games. Like there was never going to be another game as good as this. Like there was, they talked about one of the things they talked about early on was people were like, oh well, multiplayer doesn't work. The game was never designed to be a multiplayer game. It was a shared universe that everybody went and built up, but it was never designed for players to hook up with each other and meet each other.
Yeah,
And of course, the internet being the internet, they found their way around it. And like, hey, I bet these coordinates, we can keep working together and try and meet up at this point.
Mhm.
But that was not what the game was designed for. Like the internet breaks stuff, like, and it really does. So did everybody play it at launch, or?
I did, and
Oh, I did.
I was in the boat of hate. I was on that raft of disgust and anger, and I was driving my own boat of filth when that game came out for the reasons that you mentioned.
Oh,
I
yeah.
I watched a lot of the announcements, the trailers and everything, and I believed at the time I got flat out lied to. Because the way I interpreted was, like you said, the internet when I was up in arms about the multiplayer stuff mainly.
Oh yeah. There
Um,
was also that one hype guy who was a part of their team who had no freaking idea, who was saying, "Oh yeah, if you've managed to find someone, you can actually see them there and all that kind of stuff."
yeah, it was that kind of
He
stuff.
screwed it up for everyone.
Yeah, yeah. So with that, at the time, yeah, exactly. I was kind of very much on the same boat of nah.
The thing is, it was meant to be. It was always marketed to be an exploration space game. Like you explore a universe, you explore galaxies, entire fucking planets. Like, and no other game has been like that. No other game has been that open and that sandboxed on that scale ever.
I agree with you, but it was also incredibly repetitive.
Absolutely. Look, it did have its drawbacks. Like as I said, it wasn't like I'm not saying it's a 10 out of 10 game. It's the best game ever made. But what they tried to accomplish and what they tried to achieve, I think they actually hit the nail on their head fairly well. Like you said, it gets repetitive and it's
I actually liked the game. I liked it from day one. I thought it was very kitschy. It was fun to play, but it did get to a point where I was like, okay, this is like the 10th, 12th planet I've been on. The animals are slightly different. It's all the same resources. It's kind of the same landscape, and there wasn't enough variety towards the end. And I know that they've done upgrades since, and
Oh
I
yeah, there's a
haven't
whole
been back to see what they've done, and I
yeah,
think it would be pretty amazing. But overall, I really enjoyed the game, and I don't think it deserved the flack that it got.
yeah, there's a whole change up to it now as well. So you even got the things like the living ships and all stuff like that, and freighter stuff.
mm,
Yeah, I remember that one of the first updates they did was when you could go to a space station and then look at buying and upgrading your ships. And I think that's the last time I played it, really, to be honest. But I agree with Matt. I don't think it was fairly scrutinized online. But you see this a lot in internet culture. It can it can really be bad for its own self-interests. I was reading not that long ago, there was this petition to get Lucy Lawless into a massive movie franchise. And it was sort of like, oh, internet, do your thing. So all these crazy fans were like petitioning and harassing the studio and this, that, and the other. And what they didn't know is that she was actually already in negotiations with that studio about that role or about a role. And because of the internet backlash, she lost the opportunity to be in that franchise. And she came out and said,
yeah.
the internet is great, but you guys need to back off because you actually lost me this opportunity. You didn't help me at all.
The problem and I mean, it comes back to this game. The marketing hype, that marketing hype that the production company put out was nowhere near as big as what the internet put out for it. Like, people were taking like a snippet of like there'll be entire galaxies for you to explore, and what people were then doing their like reaction videos about is like every planet is going to be 100% unique. There'll be tens of thousands of hours of unique gameplay, like, and that's what the internet marketed out to be. And the problem is they built a little bit of hype. They built a good amount of hype as a studio, but then the internet just took it and it blew out. Like it's
Mm.
you set unachievable goals. There is no such thing as a perfect game. Like there is no game that every person you're ever going to meet that plays games is going to go, yeah, that game's a 10 out of 10. Like
Oh hell no! You could
if
go to
somebody
a game
plays
of the year,
games,
half your friends are going to go, "That was fucking shit."
I mean, unless it's Skyrim, like
No, I
That is
fucking despise Skyrim when it released. It was just anyway. That's another can of worms.
that's
But yes,
Bethesda bugs.
dear. Tegan, if you send me a message, can you just send it to me on Steam? I can't really change my view at the moment. Otherwise, everyone will see.
Yeah, fair, 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 fair. Did you just say that you hated Skyrim?
When it
Yep.
first came out.
Why?
Why? Because I was that idiot who didn't have a proper PC when it first came out. I had a Samsung laptop.
so it's not a problem with Skyrim at all because that game is as close to perfect as you can get.
Today, yeah, 100%, and I will back it up to the hills
one
today.
thing that game is missing is multiplayer.
Yeah. But look, when it first came out, I was that idiot who bought it on 360, right? And it was just glitches and bugs galore. It was no,
That's
don't get me wrong.
Bethesda special, man. Like half the
wasn't-
fun of playing Bethesda games is like, look at this cool stupid bug I found. It's great.
Don't get me wrong. It wasn't even on the same scale as like 76 or Cyberpunk or anything like that when it first came out. But for the time, it was one of the most largest kind of plagued, bug-ridden things available, and it just annoyed me. But
Yeah,
anyway,
you know what the strange thing is? I have never had a game-breaking Bethesda bug.
and I hate you
You
for
have
that.
not lived until you've had a game-breaking Bethesda bug, though, man.
But the three of you lived through my game-breaking bugs with Bethesda. back in
Yeah, good old
'76.
Fallout 76.
Yeah.
Well, that was my game. Nice segue, because that game got a lot of hate, and I often have to defend that I really liked it from day one, bugs and all. Yeah,
I
and I
want
think
to go back into that with you guys.
yeah, I definitely do,
Yeah.
and I've played it a few times since, and I think okay, I will be fair and say, okay, yeah, it was quite buggy, but
It's a Bethesda game.
it, it's a Bethesda game. So at this point, we all go, well, there's going to be bugs. And some of my love for it could be a bit of nostalgia because I really love the Fallout series. So maybe I'm more willing to overlook some things because of that. But the proof is in the fact of other games that I've not let it get away with bugs and things, even if it's from a franchise that I like, is like what's it called? Mac Colonial Marines.
Oh, that game was shit.
That game was terrible, and I will not forgive its bugs just because it's
That the Aliens game?
yeah.
Yeah.
But I do. Fallout 76 is one of my two games that I picked for tonight's topic because I thought it was really good. I think what we wanted though was not what was delivered
And that's
in it.
that's my argument against it, if anything. Like and again, this comes back to the same thing, and I'm guilty of what I was just criticizing everybody else for with other games. But I wanted a Fallout game. Like, one of the things I loved about Fallout 3. Have you put a spoilers tag on this episode, by the way? Or because granted, I'm talking
I
about
have
old
not.
games, but
I have not. Every game we've been talking about thus far has been quite old.
okay. Well,
Um,
okay. So we're still talking about old games, right? But
yeah.
Fallout 3.
This,
One of the
if
things
it's just, let's give a verbal spoiler warning, and if
there
I
is a spoiler warning for Fallout 3 here.
no, I mean it's for anything within the past maybe year.
Yeah, okay, that's fine. I don't play any games within the last year. Actually, I have a PC that can fucking do it now, and I don't. But one of the
Cyberpunk. You were
things
just playing Cyberpunk.
that's over a year old now.
Really?
Yeah, it is.
Oh
It's
shit!
like
Yeah.
because I got this PC April or May last year,
Wow.
and it was
Okay.
like 6 months old then. So, um,
I
but
retract my
yeah, so
statement.
it's one of the things I'm guilty of with with Fallout is like one of the things I love about Fallout 3 and Fallout New Vegas is the world altering decisions you can make. Like one of the first things you
Oh,
do
yeah.
in Fallout 3, you turn up to this town that's got a active nuclear bomb sitting in the middle of it. Um, and you have the two choices. You can either disarm the bomb and keep that town, make sure that town's alive and thriving, or you can go and be the dick and go and blow up a bomb. And you go back there, and there's literally like a fucking crater full of radiation when you get back there. Like you
The robot
remove a
survived.
section of the game.
Hmm.
What was that? Sorry, Mitch.
I said, but the robot survived.
Yeah, but ultimately you remove a section of the game by making a choice. Like Fallout New Vegas, Outer Worlds, any of those like hardcore single player RPG games is you make decisions and then you lock yourselves out of other parts of the world where whether it's just you can't go back there because every time you set foot in there you're going to get shot, or you know, you have an impact on the world. What I wanted with Fallout 76 was the four of us to sit down together and go, do we want to set off the nuke or do we want to save the town?
Hmm.
And the four of us together make a decision that not necessarily we all agree with, but the four of us make a decision and that decision affects the entire world.
Yeah, I think their issue was that they went for open servers where if they had the closed servers, they would be able to go, you know, storyline A to B to C.
Yep.
Would they be
They
able to
turned
have closed servers in that kind of scale?
That's the
yes.
thing. Peer to peer.
Well, that's the thing. You think about 7 Days to Die or Ark or where you host a server. The
Yeah.
problem and the other parts of the MMO thing, like people at high level are getting on there and just running around trolling players.
I will say that's the one thing I liked. No one could kill you unless you re-engaged with them. But there were people, I don't want to go down this rabbit hole, but there were people that were walking around in game, verbally shouting and whatever, all sorts of racist
Yeah,
and nasty comments, and they got the banhammer pretty quick,
Yeah.
which was good. But at the same point in time,
people still got
yeah,
exposed to it. Yeah, like one of the things that was cool for the game for me, like, was going through and just finding little random snippets of lore. Like,
Oh, yeah.
you
That's
know,
always loved.
yeah, it's one of the great things about Bethesda games is about Bethesda
Yeah.
games in general. Like, there's
They
so
could
many
be
nice
bugged
little
as
cool
all
snippets.
hell, but the story was what drew you in.
I mean, I think that's the key point, man. Is the story of a game. Like, I love RPGs for exactly that reason. Like the
Yeah,
story of a game, like it's a whole, like it's in depth, like in depth movies, in depth series, in depth books, like that world building essence. It's one of the things I love about D&D as well.
yeah. One of my favorite things in Fallout was the casino in Fallout New Vegas. That DLC, they did it perfectly
I can't remember the casino DLC in New Vegas.
with God Dog.
No, I don't think
The
I've played it. I need to go back and play New Vegas, don't I?
It is impeccably done.
Yeah,
I to this day still haven't played New Vegas.
it's disappointing.
New Vegas
It
is
is.
my least favorite of the whole series.
But
That's
you,
controversial in itself.
Yes, I know.
But from what I've heard
Yeah.
anyway, but no, I started playing Fallout series when I was still dating Alex. And because she was really into it, I'd never really touched the Fallout game before that. And she told me near the beginning of our relationship that Fallout 4 was coming out, and that
That's my
I,
favorite.
I wouldn't hear from her at all for about a week or so while she started playing it.
Yeah,
Um, so
Fallout 4 hands down is my fave.
so I went out and bought
Mm.
myself not Halo, fucking Fallout 3 and Fallout New Vegas. I bought them both and I played through 3. By the time I finished 3, 4 came out. So I played through 4 and then just didn't want to go back.
Yeah.
because but it's one of the things, and I think Skyrim has the same aspects to it as well. Like at this point in time, even with the re-releases, even with the texture packs that people are putting on for Skyrim, it is visually not that an impressive game. Like from in today's standards, like you put it side by side with a game like Cyberpunk, and they're not even in the same league as far as quality of combat, as quality of visuals, everything about it. But
Yeah.
it has such a deep world. Like there's so much shit to just go and explore and go and look at and go and talk to this person, go and read that
Yeah.
book. And
But it's not predetermined. What I love about it is it's not a linear game. You don't have to go to point A to point B to get to point C. You can go wherever the hell you want, do whatever you want in any order you want. So each time you play it, you can play it differently. You can join, the Railroad or the Brotherhood or whatever. You can do
Yeah.
something different each time and you can
But
get
you've
something
got to
different out of
have
it.
games that can do that, like Skyrim or like Fallout.
Yeah.
With games who do
That
that,
is
such as
the meaning of open world.
absolutely.
yeah. But then again, you got games who once were fairly linear and got criticized for being linear. When you then change to open world, who then got criticized for being too open world, such as Assassin's Creed, right?
The the problem when you talk about, and again, it's that world building aspect to it. The open world, like the open world design of Assassin's Creed, you don't get rewarded for going and exploring the world. Like,
No, yeah,
you
that's where
get
I was
like
going. Yeah,
you get a little buff, you might level up, you might get a new skill, but you don't get that endorphin rush. You don't get the, oh man, I found out about this cool piece of lore and that took me over
Yeah.
there, and then I went and did this thing.
yeah.
And
Apart from getting gear, or apart
Yeah.
from leveling up, or
yeah,
They
resources,
tried
or
to.
But
armor.
that's the thing about Skyrim, though. So you're like Matt said before, the choices you make have an impact. So
Mhm.
one of the first times I played, I became a werewolf, and that stopped me from being able to do certain things, or interact with certain NPCs, or follow through with certain quests. I could not complete them anymore because I chose to be a werewolf.
One of the
Uh,
first things I do now is go just become a werewolf.
Oh, absolutely, it's the best thing
It
ever.
has saved my butt so many times. Just transforming, going, haha, fuck everything.
But it
fucking
does
run.
it does stop you from interacting with everything, and I do
Mhm.
like how open world needs to have that game impact. It can't just be it's open world for the sake of it.
Mm.
It's got to
Yeah.
have impact to
Yeah.
other storylines, NPCs, and the way your character develops and grows.
Yeah,
Because basically, an open world RPG is basically you're playing D&D on your own. It's not a theater of the mind. It's graphically in front of you.
yeah.
But
Like,
but yeah, and that's the thing. Like that open world RPG, Tegan, you hit the nail on the head, babe. Like it's that open world RPG. I want to feel like I'm playing D&D. Like I want to feel like the decisions I make matter. And even as a player, as a GM, I hate really linear that, okay, and now you go to the next area and you fight this monster, and now you go to the next area and you fight this monster, and then
Oh
you meet
yeah,
the king and you have to do the mission for the king.
it's
Like,
I feel like he's dropping a
one of the
subtle hint here.
yeah, it's one of the things I liked in the Horizon series as well. You got quests that would actually get you to go, from one side of the map all the way across to the other, and the side quests would actually tie into the main quest because it all kind of connected up.
yeah.
That's a lot of the open worlds are missing that.
Clearly,
Like,
I
well,
played that game
And
wrong
visual.
then. If I was meant to do the side quest on the way there, I just been all over the fucking shop.
I finally I bought Outer Worlds pretty much on release because it was done by the same studio that did New Vegas, and it was hyped to the fucking
Obsidian.
nines.
I still
Yeah,
haven't gotten through that, eh?
it is a phenomenal game. I finally finished it about a week ago, I think. Like I
I've
finally
only just
just
started. I've
yeah,
literally only just
I
started.
finally sat down and finished the game off. And it isn't as open world as the likes of Skyrim and Cyberpunk and things like that. Like because it's multi-planeted, because it's you know um you're much more sort of you go to an area and there's an area you can explore. But again, it's that you make a decision, it affects your relationship with other factions, it affects how other people talk to you. Like it's that your actions have an impact on the world around you. To the point you can actually do an Outer Worlds run where you kill everybody. There is, unlike Skyrim where people just go unconscious, you can literally kill every single person you meet in
Wow.
the game and still be able to complete the game.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Shit.
So that is on my to-do list is a kill everything runs.
Rather than a pacifist run. Yeah. Okay.
Yep. The
That's the kind of people we
anti-pacifist run.
are. But back to Tegan's point before on like 76, I really wanted to enjoy it. I really did because like Tegan, Fallout 4 is my favorite.
Yeah.
Right? I really do enjoy Fallout games. I really do, and I really wanted to enjoy 76.
You really did.
I'm not sure if I ended up posting my first video because I only ended up making 1 or 2 videos on it. I'm not sure if I ended up posting it, but quite literally, the first 30 seconds of me jumping in solo for the first time, I lost my shit. Just absolutely. There's someone else here. There's a person in the starting zone. Come back. Not realize I'm doing this for the recording, not realizing that it's an open mic system. it was
Brilliant.
glorious. Absolutely glorious. But anyway, so there was that. And it was good up until I sat down at a computer and it wouldn't let me change the screen of the computer. It wouldn't let me exit the computer. Or when my mouse stopped functioning, so I couldn't turn, I had to strafe. When it wasn't my mouse, it was the game. It went with all these things that when I fell through the ground and got stuck and died. There were just so many things that I personally hadn't experienced to that level in another game before, which
But when the four
as
of
the
us
three of you
played
witnessed,
together,
completely pushed me over the edge.
when the four of us played together, you and I had the same glitch. Mitch and Matt could access, I think it was a cupboard or something we had to open to get a
Yeah.
clue, and Kami and I couldn't open it. And I was like, oh, well, I'll just wait it out or I'll restart and rejoin or whatever.
Mm.
Kami lost his shit. He went absolutely
That
mental.
doesn't sound like Kami at all.
And I was
Hey,
just
hey,
like,
hey! We've
oh.
been playing Dota recently, and I haven't lost my shit once. We had a really rough night last night. Real rough night. We only won 1 match out of
Oh,
like
yeah.
4 or 5. There were dickheads in every match. Didn't lose my shit once.
Oh yeah, that Lich was it or something like
Yeah.
that? Yeah.
I still.
But-
I've grown up.
But
He's
yeah,
matured with
So
his
are
new
you ready
shirt
to
on.
play? Are you ready to play 76 with us again? Then is the question.
I believe I would be willing to play 76 again.
I should make some space and download that again then.
I
that's
know,
the
right?
thing. One thing that I actually really liked, which I found that a lot of people were complaining about, the new level up system they had. I actually
can't
found it
recall it.
really interesting with the cards.
Can't
Oh yeah, I
recall
didn't
it.
mind the cards. Yeah, I didn't mind the cards.
I have strongly mixed feelings on the cards, and purely because again, coming from Fallout, coming from Skyrim, like it's like I want to
You like
play this
knowing
archetype.
how to level.
Yeah, and it's not even for power leveling, but it's like I want to play this archetype. Like I want to play
Mm.
a fucking melee, punch the shit out of everything, and that's how I'm going to punch the world to death.
Oh
That's the
yeah,
character I want to play. Oh no, I didn't draw the right cards for it,
Yeah.
so instead I'm playing a sniper. Like,
I
Yeah.
played through New Vegas and maxed out the mechanic stuff and the medicine stuff, and computers and medicine. That's right. And literally found the way through everything with as little combat as actually possible.
yeah,
Because
and
why the hell not?
which is doable in that world.
yeah, I love that sort of stuff in games. Like I love, the different challenges. As I said, like the pacifist runs in games are they're challenging and they're a different sort of challenge, but they're cool to play. Like,
Yeah. When you actually feel like you get rewarded for thinking outside the box.
Like in D&D.
Just speaking of thinking outside the box, I just want to talk about change your BRB screen so I can read Tegan's message at the same time. But also, to answer your question, sorry, I thought it was a bit more serious than that. I actually read your message till just then, Tegan. No, you're fine.
Awesome.
God, I gotta click back on. There we go. Click back on the thing. Okay, now, cool.
It's
Um,
still black. Oh, there we go. Now
there.
yay!
That's what was I saying? Shit, I've just forgotten. What were you talking about?
Leveling up.
No.
Mm.
Oh,
Something
yes, no,
about
that's what it was. Just the ability to go down the supremely stupid route in
Yeah.
Fallout games.
that's
Like I didn't know that was a
New Vegas.
thing. I constantly watch like I've subscribed to a lot of like What Culture and other relatable kind of things on YouTube, just so it's for ideas.
Mm.
B, I'm purely interested in what they're kind of doing, and I didn't know that was a thing until it came from one of their lists. Just gonna, wait a minute,
Yeah.
you can go down like you can just be dumb and it completely just flips everything on its head. It's just
Mhm.
So,
Oh,
so
yeah.
again, like Outer Worlds have done recently, like depending on what skills you have and your intelligence and things like that, opens up conversation options for you. But the flip side is if you actually drop your intelligence down to the lower settings, you get the dumb options. Like,
Yep.
one of the things early on in the game is like you've got to go and retrieve this electrical thing. And the guy's like, you should probably, divert the power so that it's not drawing any power when you do it. And if you're playing a dumb character, it's like, but why? Like your character is too dumb to understand that like the thing that's taking all the town's power through it is dangerous to touch. Like,
But why?
My favorite one has to be in New Vegas. There's one vault which you have to do a whole quest for to find the password for to get in. If you have one intelligence, you go up to the door and it goes, enter password. And your character yells out, ice cream! And it turns out that was the password.
Password.
Speaking of, like back in high school, right? Mitch, you'd remember this. Back in high school, in our computer classes, back then the computer things it was so basic for passwords, right? You could put whatever in, and I'd always forget my password, always.
Mm.
So I thought to myself, hang on, okay. It's literally eventually made my password the word incorrect, all lowercase. Whenever I forgot my password, it would tell me my password was incorrect.
correct.
And that was probably the system was promptly updated by our computer teacher when I shared that with my friend, who shared it with his friend, then all our passwords happened to be incorrect, and we could log into each other's things and just
Yeah.
all of our passwords were incorrect.
Better than Joey's school system. They give every child the same password and none of the students change it.
That hurts my brain.
Oh yeah,
I work in cybersecurity. Imagine what it does to me.
the stupid password where it's, what's the password? Capital H and it's happy 123.
Fluffy Bunny
Nice.
01.
Can
You're
we
not
skip the
far off.
conversation about passwords, please? Because I'm going to get triggered.
He's gonna start.
I'm going to start lecturing your viewers that are on here about password security
Trigger
and basic
Matt.
cybersecurity.
Trigger Matt. No, okay.
I have
Ah,
to
dude.
live with him. Please don't trigger Matt.
As a
I get really
kid,
fucking cranky about
as a kid, one of my passwords was literally continue.
it.
Anyway, Mitch, what's a game that you have to constantly defend liking?
Well, I'm going to step away from what other people have been doing with the PC ones. My one actually comes from the old 3DS days.
Ooh.
Ooh.
There was a game called Mega Man Star Force. It actually came along in the same vein as the Mega Man Battle Network games, but what essentially happened with it was Mega Man Battle Network 1 to 5 were very similar games, and people had gotten overly tired of that style of gameplay and all that kind of stuff because they'd done it so many times before. But they didn't realize that Star Force, while it still had a similar style of gameplay, had actually completely changed up the story and all that to bring it back into the limelight. And nowadays, people who had enjoyed those previous games are going back to it and actually enjoying it now, where it used to just fall flat because of what had happened.
It's amazing how games that like what everyone's kind of mentioned so far that people hate upon release for whatever insert X reason here, and then you go back to it even as short as 6 to 12 months later, and it's completely different. Even if the game hasn't changed that much, for some reason the opinions do.
Hmm.
And I just
Oh,
always find that absolutely very interesting, intriguing.
oh, you'd know that straight up with what happened with the Halo games. Remember when number 1 came out? It's the absolute pinnacle of such and
Combat
such.
Evolved was the
Never be
tagline for it.
better and all that kind of stuff.
Man,
Next
I
game
went,
came
I
out.
went.
Halo Combat Evolved was the tagline for that game when it dropped on Xbox.
Yeah.
Combat Evolved was the subtitle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, then the second one came out and they went, oh, they've completely gone against all of this stuff. It's an absolutely horrible game. They've ruined the first one and all that stuff. Then 6 months later, it's an absolute pinnacle of its system. And it
Well,
literally happened for every fucking Halo game.
I really don't want to go down that rabbit hole because I will take up the entire the entire length of our chat on Halo alone.
But
But
on its simplest thing, it comes back to what I was saying before: is like people have in their mind what they would expect a game to be, and when it doesn't measure up, like it's not the developer's fault, it's not the game's fault, it's that person's fault. But it's really hard to be like, well, this isn't the game I wanted to play. Instead, it's like the studio fucked this game, like, and that's the
That
thing.
that
always
speaks to the age of the day, doesn't it? Really,
Yeah, absolutely.
it's always somebody else's fault. Because when I was a kid, if you bought a game, you didn't get previews. You didn't have internet culture to see whether the game was good. I'm talking like Tekken 2 era, original Crash Bandicoots. You had to buy the game to see if it was good.
Or
and
if
again,
you
you
were
got
really good.
previews. You got previews. They were in the form of 3 little pictures on the back of the box.
Or you stood in Grace Brothers or Myers playing the trial version on their little console.
Yes.
If you were really lucky, you'd be able to hire a game from a video store. Like it was horrendously
Not a new
expensive.
game. Not a new game, though.
Blockbusters.
Oh,
Back
even
in
for
the
a
day
new
when
game, but it
games
was
were
like a
actually
night for like
built
$5.
around the games were built around the hire system back then. Like going back to Sega, The Lion King,
Yeah.
the infamous second level of
That
Can't Wait to Be King. That was built purely to stop people from being able to finish the game within the hire period.
yeah, of course. Of course.
Yeah.
But going back to my original point, we
Battletoads.
just put up with it. If you
Oh,
bought a game, you didn't
I'm
like
gonna
it. But
exit the
now
conversation. You bring Battletoads.
if people get a game and they're like, oh, well, it didn't meet my personal expectations, they're all up in arms. They want refunds. They want
Yeah.
the company killed. We've got a friend who is boycotting an entire software developer, isn't he? Because of, too many problems with their
Oh
game.
yes, yep, no, yep. Took me a sec to catch on.
Yeah.
Yep, I remember.
What,
Yep.
what company is he avoiding?
Isn't it Blizzard or Activision or both?
I think we be careful about. So the reason that people are boycotting Blizzard at the moment is previous management was apparently actively allowing like sexual harassment and things like that. Like,
That's not the reason that we were
Anyway,
first given
we should
boycott.
say this is purely just this one person's opinion. We don't actually say this is what's happening with the company.
Yeah.
One of our
But
friends is boycotting a certain company
But that
I-
wasn't the reason he first gave it. So it had nothing to do with that. It was to do with something with the way they released games, or that you had to pay for editions or something.
Oh, okay. No. So what his major issue is, he has a massive problem with exclusives. So,
that's right.
and this is more an issue with PC games than console. Like Halo,
Every
I mean, it's owned by,
system does exclusives.
but it's the fact that companies are signing on with we will sell our game exclusively on Epic for the first 6, 12, 18 months, and that is pissing people
Uh,
off. I
Steam
have
used to
no
do
issues.
that.
I have no issue with it. And the pure thing is, right? Do you guys want these companies to keep making great games? Then they
Yes.
need to make money. They are out there as a business to make fucking money. Now, I have problems with companies that are money grabbing, but I also don't support their product. I don't buy EA games because I refuse to pay $100 for a game and then have to pay to unlock characters within it. If I pay $100 for a fucking game, I want my $100 worth of value. But people get really upset about the fact that like Borderlands
On Epic.
was an exclusive on Epic. Cyberpunk was an exclusive on Epic. The reason that game companies do that is because Epic backs a truckload of fucking money up to their CEOs and says, "We want you to sign an exclusive deal," and they go, "Okay," because they make more money, which means that they have more money to pay their staff, they have more money to pay their devs, more money to put resources into server environments, more money for everything that goes into building the
Yeah.
game.
I have no doubt that Borderlands 3 would have been nowhere near as good if they hadn't gone exclusive, because they wouldn't have had the money to go into some of the stuff they
Look,
expanded on.
Gearbox is actually big enough that they could have almost done their own launcher for it. Like they are now that big in the space.
Oh,
And I have a problem with
definitely.
companies, every company running off like the fact that if I want to play certain EA games, I've got to have the EA launcher. If I then want to have
Oh,
I've
we've
got to
had
have the
issues with
Bethesda
that.
launcher, and I've got to have like I don't want to have 35 fucking launchers on my PC. But I have no problem supporting Epic, and I have no problem supporting Steam. Plus, Epic keep giving me free games, which is always nice.
Speaking of which, I'm currently on Epic right now, just grabbing their weekly free game.
What is that
Okay,
regularly
look at
free
that.
game?
Right now, it's Darkwood and Toe Jam and Earl.
We're not associated here with anyone, let alone
Yeah.
a company the size of Epic Games. Just FYI.
Yeah.
I
So,
have no problem with games being exclusive to Epic because at the end of the day, it's making more money for the manufacturers of the game.
Now,
And at the end of the day, Steam now have some fucking competition. So if people aren't signing on and putting exclusive to Steam, then why not? Like that's a question you got to ask. If they're jumping on and doing exclusive, if they think they're actually going to lose sales by signing an exclusive, or they're not going to make as much money, they're not going to do it. This is all business decisions.
oh yeah.
Like
yeah, I think people go down the rabbit hole of, sorry, excuse me, or the route of I hate exclusives because that particular game is not available to them.
Yeah.
Like they've gone down one particular route, whether it be PC, console, or a particular console, whatever.
yeah,
And that
PlayStation
particular,
versus Xbox.
exactly, yeah, and that particular console has a really good exclusive, which is not available on the other. Then they went down the wrong route. Not the wrong route, but they chose a certain route.
They chose a route that excluded
Yeah.
content to them.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Look, because I'm pretty much like I haven't bought either of the next gen or the current gen consoles as they are now. I'm locked out from a bunch of games. Like, and that is a reality for us. But at the same time, Tegan and I made the choice that well, buying two PCs is better than buying one PlayStation 5 or one
Oh yeah.
PlayStation 5 and one Xbox One, like
And
whatever.
generally speaking, we play on the PC more.
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Whereas I have the consoles because I do play console games fairly often.
and no children.
And no kids.
True.
I have all of the above.
Yes.
I have a
It has
PC,
been
all
over a
three
year since
consoles, and a child,
Yeah.
and
It
it
has
hurts
been
the
over a
wallet.
year since I got the consoles, and they're all still intact. There hasn't been jam shoved into any of them.
Let me just put it to you this way, Kami. People will tell you, "Oh, babies are so expensive; it gets easier when they get older." That is bullshit.
Oh,
The older your children get, the
we are
more expensive
yeah, no,
they
we're
get.
preparing.
Oh,
We
yeah.
know it's going to get more expensive. We
My
are.
teenager eats
Yeah.
more than me.
I have got a preteen boy in the house, and I cannot believe how much he's eating. Anyway, that's my little
Oh, yeah.
rant. I diverge. I think it's Kami's turn to share one of his.
Yes, come on, Kami.
Alrighty.
Let's see your game so we can all pan it for you.
I've got two, but I'll start off with one. and
You know he's picked ones purposefully to trigger us all.
no, one of them maybe.
Yeah, let me just get in a position so I can leap towards my screen. Like, you couldn't have people.
I have a game that I can see. I can picture it now. You see, yeah. There's a game that I always have to defend like everyone else. That starts stretching, cracks the fingers, prepares on the keyboard, pulls the microphone closer. Yeah. Oh shit. Okay, so for me, the one I'll mention first is The Last of Us Part 2. I'm not gonna go into any particular I'm not gonna go into the biggest spoiler here. I'm not gonna say what it is. All right, but we were taught from the off,
Really play that.
right? Sorry,
I should really play those games.
you do.
Oh, wait, you're defending liking it, right?
Yes.
Oh, fuck, I was about to come and punch you in the face.
No, I'm defending liking it. I put out a whole video months ago, about how
Yes.
Part 2 is as good as Part 1.
I agree.
Right? And this is Part 2 came out obviously before they remade Part 1, labeled it Part 1. So one of the biggest things for me was Part 2 is labeled Part 2, right? I'm going to read some notes here just because I've actually written some things down, right? I mean, it would have been really easy to slap on just a number on the end of it and just pass it off as a traditional sequel, implying that, it's just an easy kickoff point. Whereas by saying Part 2, it's implying that you absolutely have to play the first game to appreciate the follow-up, right? The tale is purely about revenge because of insert spoiler here, right? Many moving away from that, completely different topic, right? Many stories kill off people at the end of their game to lure you into buying the next one, or just to round off their story, right? Throughout The Last of Us Part 1, they kill off characters left, right, and center, right? And same thing in Part 2. And normally when you find a tale of revenge, it's someone gets killed off early in the game, and you have to trust the dialogue and the character that's telling you how important that character was. These persons died. They were so important to us, and you've just got to believe it. Whereas, well, Matt's headset's off. You had
Keep
to.
your headset off.
Damn.
Keep your headset off.
Whilst, yeah. So I mean, we played countless of hours of Joel, and now just God. Anyway, he can put his headset back on.
You can put your headset back on.
Yeah.
But it played on our expectations, something savage. Leading up to the character twist, like the shift, as well, halfway through, like it built right up to, hey, the game's about to end, and then all of a sudden you realize I'm only halfway through, right? It literally doubled the length from Part 1.
That's something which honestly I didn't like in their thing, because it's ramping up, and back down to the start again.
It sounds like a cliffhanger mentality, though. Like it's the TV show. It's the end of a season episode where you're like, and now I have to wait a year for the next season. Like,
the game comes to a conclusion, but you get halfway through and you feel like it's ramping up, and then you got half the game to go, right? And I believe that it's intentionally aggravating, right? It's an exercise using our own baggage as an outside participant against us in that game, right? We're taught to hate a certain character off the bat. And when we end up, in a certain scenario controlling said character, it's just, I was one of those people who just found myself just throwing them into the water time and time again, killing them, because no. Whereas, again, going back on it 6 months later, absolutely loved that game. Because it wasn't just a flashback of again, insert spoiler here, of what happened to this character's father, etc. But you see them, going through so much, them trying to rescue children from an enemy tribe, right? We see them trying to save their ex-boyfriend, who we believe from this point is working for the enemy, but you see this guy refuse in order to execute an unarmed old man. It's a purposely exhaustive game. The size and scope I thought was amazing. It's constantly dishing out info in the perfect way that allows the story to constantly ask us to reevaluate our feelings, our emotions.
Hmm.
Um,
I'll admit, after that drop off, I actually tried, but the drop off made me lose interest. So I still
yeah,
haven't finished part 2.
that's probably the only pacing thing I've got. But then again, you
Yeah.
are changing characters.
Oh, I fully understand that, but usually when you change characters and stuff like that, it does it in such a way that rather than feeling like it's ramping up to the conclusion, it kind of tapers for a moment, which allows it to slip into the next bit, you know? Whereas this one felt like it was just a sudden, yep, put on the brakes, we're changing cars.
Yeah, but the way that it initially came across to me, right, was you've got Ellie there, and Abby storms in doing whatnot, and you've already had 2 flashbacks by this point. You've had 2 flashbacks of Abby in certain scenario, right, and it happens again, but it's a different flashback this time, and you take it in your stride. All of a sudden, you start picking up items, and you think, "Hang on, why am I picking up items now? I don't need to make things as Abby. What?" And you slowly start to realize, "Oh shit, I'm now stuck as Abby for a while." And you realize you've gone back a couple of days. Well, initially a couple of
Yeah.
years, and then back a couple of days, and you get back to where you were from her side, and it's purposefully aggravating. It's arguably the most emotionally manipulative game I've ever played.
See, most of my favorite books do that too.
Hmm.
That flip and that switch and forcing you into the other perspective from a character that you've already judged based on,
I
what's
fucking
come.
love that shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If
Oh,
anyone's curious as to a detailed thing on The Last of Us Part 2 if you want to delve deep into my rant, I do have a full-fledged The Last of Us Part 2 is as good as The Last of Us Part 1 video on YouTube.
well,
But yeah, that's my take.
and Ian, just warning you, I'm about to switch back to the proper microphone because I'm not going to be getting up anymore.
Oh.
So I don't want to deafen you.
Stop!
Okay. You're
Oh my God,
welcome.
Aegis.
That's just not right.
That was uncomfortable for everyone.
Yeah.
I will be back in a minute though. Continue discussion.
No worries. But
Mhm.
Mitch, you've played through all of it, haven't you?
No, as I said, I
Really?
got to the twist
You,
in the middle,
wow, you
and
cut
it
off
was
that
just
hard. Like it just stopped out in the
it
middle.
was such a drop off.
Yeah,
I
okay.
tried playing it for after that, but because all of the ramping up that happened before disappeared, it felt like just a major letdown.
Yeah,
Like,
and
as
I
in,
I get that, but I
imagine you were
also
getting to a cliffhanger of an episode, and then suddenly, next episode, it doesn't even show you what happens. It just has you sitting around a table with them afterwards or something. It just felt like that.
yeah, I get that. I get that. It's
I
like
know that
it's
that's
like
not what
having
happened in the
an episode,
game,
like
but
a series build up to the finale, and then all of a sudden, behind the scenes episode for the next week, and then you got to wait 2 weeks for that final episode. I get it.
but even but even then, it's essentially like going, we're coming up to the final episode, but we're going to make you watch the entirety of everything again
Here's a bunch of filler
to get to it.
shit.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
I've
and
been
not
watching
even
anime
good filler
again,
shit.
and yeah, like it's like here's a bunch of filler shit that you don't care about. And you're like, next, 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 next. Show me the fucking outcome of the fight, you motherfuckers.
But here's the thing, right?
Okay.
Fillers are fillers. If you remove the fillers from the story, who cares? I believe that 2 of the best situations in The Last of Us Part 2 happen whilst playing as Abby. Right? There is
Oh,
a scary
I've got no
as
doubt
shit.
about it.
Sorry?
I have no doubt about that. It's just, it was too hard of a stop for me.
Out of a left swing, left turn.
Yeah, I would have been fine playing, say, if Last of Us Part 2 had gotten to that and had some kind of payoff on that, and then Last of Us Part 3 came out and it was that again.
Well,
You know?
you do get to finish that moment, just not in
I
the way
know
you
that.
think. And I believe that the way the developers and writers made us fight I mean, we get to back to that climactic point, and then we think, cool, awesome, I'm gonna do it this way, and all of a sudden they purposely make you fight that fight from spoiler. You think you're going back in to fight that fight as Abby, as Ellie. No, you go back in to fight that fight as Abby. And that just threw me something savage. Again, I purposely, in the first time I played, let myself get killed by Ellie multiple times on stream and
Well,
everything. It was just no.
well, that's the thing as well. If we're 100% honest, the Last of Us characters from The Last of Us Part 1, they were dicks.
100%. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, Ellie.
Again, dickish characters. Like,
Yeah, the only reason we liked them was because we had played through them that long that we learned to
That's
like them.
also realistic to a degree, right? I mean, as Joel said early on in part 1, Tess says to him, we're bad people. He goes, we're survivors. Right?
it's more of that grey scale of like, it's not
Yeah.
good, it's not bad. It's that grey.
I
That
have
lovely
seen
grey
it done
between
a
area.
lot better though, but yeah.
Well, I disagree to an extent. I believe that Last of Us Part 2 show us clearly why Joel was a bad person, why certain things out there aren't always what they seem, and how they
Oh.
expertly used our own emotions against us for gameplay.
That's the thing. If you actually sit down and think about it, Last of Us Part 1, number one, the doctors were fucking idiots. There was no reason to spoiler.
In universe
try
in universe there was.
Even in universe, there wasn't.
Did they go into
If
that?
they
I don't recall.
in universe, they are trying to use proper medical styles of doing things. And she is not immune in the way that they keep on saying. She is immune because she has a lesser strain that her body is able to fight off, which prevents the larger strain. They actually show that in some of the blood things.
She's actually got a growth on her brain, and it's not getting any
Yeah.
bigger. It's just not
That's
allowing
because it's
anything else.
That's because it's a lesser strain. It's essentially, say you've got,
Which is why they need
the-
to remove it so that they can find a vaccine.
but they don't.
And we're the reason they don't.
No, but they don't need to. Any proper doctor would be able to tell you, at her age, you would actually be able to do something like that, to do a minor cut after cutting the skull, and the brain would adapt.
Yeah, but this thing's growing all over her brain. Like it's on the side. It's kind of rooted in everything.
Yeah, but essentially, we won't go into it because we've got a full science
About to
episode.
say we're going down that rabbit hole now anyway.
Up with this.
We've just
But,
gone
yeah.
fuck the springboard, cannonball.
But yeah, there was ways to do it without killing her. The doctors were just fucking idiots.
Which is why we did what we did. Anyway, moving on. Any thoughts, Nat, Tegan, on anything we've been saying?
I would find it interesting if you were given the choice in that scenario.
That's why I love open world RPGs.
Well, that's it, right? There's a lot of the criticism of Part 2 was, or people, for some reason, people enjoyed the ride of Part 1, right? It's
Part 1 had the best opening storyline sequence to pretty much
oh,
any game.
that first freaking 20 minutes just
First 20 minutes
knocks you
of
right
The
off
Last of
center.
Us. Yeah.
Yeah. I had a mate, like Alex, you know Alex, different Alex from my ex that I mentioned earlier. This is another friend, different, two Alexes, Alex squared, if you will. I had him playing The Last of Us Part 1 here just the other day, and he played through the first hour of it here, and he just left wanting to buy it.
Yeah.
And just that again, what I watched his face, not the screen, I watched his face when he in that first 20 minutes,
Yeah.
and just his jaw hit the floor. It was you don't expect that kind of thing. But we all sat there passively and really enjoying being led through this beautiful narrative in part one, and all of a sudden we get led through. I would argue an equally beautiful and emotionally manipulative narrative in part two, and all of a sudden, because it's not the way that we would go about it necessarily, all of a sudden it's just a terrible game. I mean,
Did it cop a lot of flack? I didn't sort
yeah,
of
Oh
follow.
yeah, it did.
I mean, people were going down the route of, oh, you know, we should be able to make our own decisions, but it's not your game. It's not your game. It's a narrative that it's a
Yeah.
book you're reading. It's a narrative you're going down, and you're along for the ride.
But yeah, and that's the style of game that it is. Though it's
Yeah,
you are reading the book, you are watching the movie. Like you
Yeah.
don't have any impact on the game itself. Like you're there on a roller coaster, but you're playing the video game. Like
Mhm.
Yeah. I
yeah, and
think another issue
it's
that. Oh, sorry.
no, sorry.
Well, I was saying that another issue that they had with it was the character that they put you in was badly hated up to that point by about 99% of the fan base.
Purposefully so.
Yeah, but
Apart
But
from
I applaud them for that. I applaud them
yeah,
for
yeah,
doing that because it's challenging players to go outside of their comfort zone. Like, we've talked previously, just in general as friends, about like pandering to fans and putting things in movies just because the fans wanted it or etc. Like in the Star Wars stuff.
yeah,
fan service
You
is
and I,
fantastic, and I hate it at the same time.
that's right. Yeah,
yeah.
I'm agreeing with you. But
Uh,
this game challenged that. It did not allow its
yeah,
fan base to dictate the story it was going to tell.
yeah,
yeah. The
and that's the
issue
thing.
was
It's
that they had purposely gone down the most hated character route. They heard that the fans hated this character, though they tried to make them like before, and went, well, fuck you, we're going to stick you right in the driver's seat.
Yeah,
but that's become a more and more common writing trick over the last
Hmm.
sort of 10, 15 years. And I mean the whole killing off characters, it's old as any sort of writing style, but it's a George R. R. Martin thing. Like, they build up Eddard Stark, who everybody loves. They build him to be like the good guy.
I
Like
was
he
about
is
to
the good
say Game
guy.
of
And
Thrones.
then he fucking gets his head taken off. Like they build you to love these characters and kill them, and then the characters that you hate survive. Like it's that pulling on your emotions. And as I said, I haven't played either Last of Us game, but I played about an hour of The Last of Us Part One. But that's the thing. It's keeping you dealing with these characters that you hate dealing with, and it's one of those things that it frustrates people as well.
On that point, I love the fact that both say Game of Thrones and The Last of Us as examples just bin plot armor,
Yeah,
right? It's just I love that. You just don't know in a cutscene, right?
Yeah,
If your character, another character that you've just met or one that you've been with for a long time, is just going to cock it, right? Using again the first 20 minutes of The Last of Us or even Ned Stark as an example, you just don't know.
But given the world that they're writing in, there's more realism in having characters die
Yep.
absolutely.
than them constantly surviving these unbelievable situations over and
Hmm.
over and over again,
The,
just because of what sheer fucking like bullshit.
And to
the
It
sh-
survive
makes
this
it
long, you're
more
gonna make
real.
enemies. You're
It
gonna do
makes
some
it more
really
real.
dirty and shady shit. You're gonna make enemies, and people are gonna hunt you down.
the
It makes
sheer
it more real.
extreme of it is the anime thing and the anime plot armor. Like whether it's Dragon Ball Z, whether it's Naruto, whether it's My Hero Academia, whatever show it is, but it's that extreme plot armor. Like Goku's like, oh shit, I'm getting the shit kicked out of me by a literal god. That's all right. I found another Super Saiyan mode. In Naruto, it's like, oh, I'm getting the shit kicked out of me by this dude. But don't worry, I remember this tiny little training thing that I did in an episode that was, a filler bit that you never watched, and now I'm going to kick the shit out of this guy. You take those elements and you watch those shows and you walk away, with a nice, happy, good feeling because Goku's kicked the shit out of everybody and he's the strongest being in the universe, or Naruto's doing this. That is a very common superhero like the thing, like fortunately, I have my shark repellent spray in my bat utility belt. It's that level of bullshit, like the plot armor that everybody laughs about and wants to take the piss out of. But as soon as you pull that plot armor away, people are like, but where was his bat repellent spray? Like, where was his shark repellent spray that should have been in his utility belt? Like, and it's
That's the thing.
yeah.
Anybody who has played a role-playing game will know of this scale. There's the Noble Bright to Grim Dark scale.
I'm unfamiliar, sorry.
It's tabletop roleplay, so you'll learn.
The Noble Bright is the Goku. He finds a new thing, or somebody comes in like that everybody walks away feeling good, and everybody walks away happy every time because everything goes in the favor of the superheroes or of the heroes. That's what what'd you say, Noble Bright?
Noble Bright.
Yeah, and then your Grim Dark it's like, you fell down a trap and you're dead. Oh, nobody can try and revive me? No. Like, you fell down a pit and you've been eaten by a fucking dragon at the bottom of that pit.
The world is fucked and you're just trying to survive in it.
That's exactly it. Like, and that's, and both, neither answer is correct. Like, it's not just, I'm not sitting here saying, no, well, nobody should play Grim Dark because everyone should walk away feeling good all the time. Or the opposite, like, oh no, we have to, there's gritty or nothing.
Yeah.
And there's obviously those layers in between, like levels in between, but it's sometimes you want to just put on a show like, I'm going to watch Goku kick the shit out of everybody in the universe and be the strongest person in the universe because it's going to make me feel good.
Sometimes you want to play a game like that too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which is the noble side of the scale.
Yep.
Because what it is it goes noble, neutral, grim. Noble is where the hero is able to do all the things to change the world into their favor and be able to do it. Neutral, they can and they can't. It depends on how well they've actually prepared for all this stuff and what they can actually think their way out of it. Grim,
I'm just trying to make it out the other end. I'm
just trying to make it out the other end. Yeah. The world will not change because of what you've done, but maybe you can live in it another day.
Yeah. And again, there's varying levels of it. Like, and it sounds like The Last of Us is very much more that grim side of it, that grim scale of it. Yep. Yeah, and as I said, like, I know I referenced George R.R. Martin for it, but going back, Shakespeare did that shit. Like, if you read Hamlet, like, everybody fucking dies, man. Like, makes George R.R. Martin look like a little pussy.
Yeah, he does.
But it's one of those things. Lord of the Rings is very much that Noble Bright. Like none of the good guys die, like except Boromir, who's meant to die.
Excuse me? None of the good guys die?
None of the good guys die in.
Sean Bean is a walking spoiler, or he was.
Yeah, I mean, look, he was a walking spoiler for that, but even from the books,
back then he wasn't.
Boromir's character was set up in such a way that you're meant to hate him, and then when he dies, you're like a little bit sad that he died because he shows that last moment of heroism.
He died saving the hobbits.
But ultimately, his character was set up to, like, I fucking hate this guy. What a dick. Why would they want him in the Fellowship? Oh no, he died trying to save the hobbits, and now I'm a little bit sad that he died. Oh well, moving on. Like,
but on the back of that,
I hate you for that summary. So
in the extended edition, right? In the first movie, 100% that's how it's built up. However, even
how it's built up, Kami.
Sorry.
In the books, that is how it's built up.
Yes, but in also just visual representation, Isildur, who succumbs to the corruption of the ring and tries to flee using said corruption, gets shot 3 times in the back and dies. Boromir, who overcomes said corruption and faces it head on, gets shot 3 times in the chest.
Yes.
Can I just make a quick side tangent here? My favorite how it should have ended ever written was Elrond and Isildur standing in the thing and he's like, throw it, cast it in the fire. No, cuts his fucking hand off and just like off it goes. The end.
Yep. But
there's also the one of the absolute bullshit Elvish eyes. It's just, I know what we can do.
We have gone way off on a tangent here.
Yeah. I need to send everyone here a link to a video that I received from another Lord of the Rings fan a while back, purely labeled or titled "If Boromir Survived," And the bit where I lost my shit and had to pause it and rewind it was literally he's there staying on top of an elephant. It's dead. And in the 3 seconds that you see that picture, it's just a big elephant, and that's it. But it's a glorious video, and I'll send it to you later. But anyway, if you'd like to continue, Matt, I'll leave it back to you, my friend.
Okay, game number 2 for me, and I'm playing it again now. So there's a spoiler for you. Cyberpunk 2077. Now, again, the studio got fucked on at every turn on the lead up to release. They did
Oh.
release a flawed game in a massive way. So
major.
the stability issues, the fact that they released it for PS4 and Xbox 360, and then it wouldn't run on them.
Yeah. Major
That was
graphical issues.
not okay in any way, shape, and form. General gameplay bugs. So my first playthrough of Cyberpunk was about 18 months ago now. So it was about 6 or 7 months after the release, if I'm counting my dates properly. So they dealt with some of the bugs, but there were still bugs happening in the game. Yeah. There was still bugs happening within the game. The worst bug I ever got hit by, though, was like I came out of like sneaking up on somebody to try and grab them from behind, but it shifted my body over, but there were objects in the way. So my gun was sitting off to the right. Like I could turn to my right and see my gun floating there, and my hands floating off to the right, holding onto
I've
this
seen this
gun.
bug.
And I was pissing myself laughing, and I died about 30 seconds later. On a reload, I went back and did the same thing. I couldn't replicate it. Putting that shit aside, right? As I said, at release, it was a clusterfuck. And again, the studio should have held it back a little bit longer. But they'd hyped the game for so long. And this actually falls on them rather than the internet. They had hyped the game for so long and put so much marketing resource into it. You know, all the
Keanu Reeves.
Yep, absolutely. They had Keanu Reeves in it. He was running around doing all the stuff with Johnny Silverhand. Like there was so much hype going into it, and then they got cryptoed like 6 months out, and they had problem after problem after problem. The studio should have pushed the release back. It would have upset fans, but they should have done that and had a more successful release.
Oh, yeah.
My actual thing, the thing that people hate about it even now, is the feedback that the world feels really empty and hollow. Now.
Yeah.
I've played a lot of games. I don't know if you guys have seen Viva La Dirt League's video game logic, but they did one around Call of Duty and Battlefield and all those sorts of World War II shooter games. Have you guys seen them at all? Or
One or two, but
okay,
yeah.
there's a great relationship between the main, like the player character and the the player character and one of the NPCs, and he's like, and the NPCs constantly going, "This is just like shooting ducks back on the farm, don't you think?" And he's like, "I don't care. I know I'm meant to like you. I just don't care." We've all played a video game where it's like, "Hey, here's a character. You have to love him," and now he died, and you walk away from that going like, "Oh no, he died anyway." Like moving on, and because you don't give a fuck. You never build that emotional attachment.
Yeah.
Cyberpunk, the relationships with characters is built really well. Like there's no, you basically spawn into the world and you don't know anybody. Like you turn up in town, you might have met a couple of characters and that's sort of all you have to do with them. And then you go off and meet a new set of characters and build those relationships. And throughout the game, some of those characters die off because of choices and everything else. And because the way that those relationships are built, you actually find yourself like you're like, okay, I need to reload and find a way that I can not let that character die because I don't want you to fucking die, you motherfuckers. Like I finished off one of the sections of the game and like walked away. I just got up and like walked away from my computer and just stood outside and had a smoke and just didn't say a fucking word because I was so emotionally engaged in this game that and they just taken something away from me. Like, how can you say in a game like that? And again, it has the other elements that I love of open world RPGs. Like, it's got the decision making, and you fall in with some factions, fall out with others. That very generic RPG methodology stuff. There's nothing in that game that is so unique about it that makes it that special. But it's taken all the basic fundamentals of building an open world RPG game, and it executes them really well. Now, again, I'm not going to defend them. Releasing it on PS4 and then it not working on PS4, that's not okay. I'm a little bit forgiving around games getting released for PC and then having issues with certain hardware sets, purely because we've got 4
You can't
PCs
prepare
here.
for everything.
Absolutely. Mine and Tegan's PCs have one different component in them, right? And it's it's the same GPU, but it's a different manufacturer of the GPU because it's what I could get my hands on at the time. Then again, the four of us have different setups on our PCs. All four of us do, and I know that for a fact. That means that if you're trying to write a piece of software, it has to work on 4 different instances of that hardware. When you release a game for a PS4 or PS5 or an Xbox One or 360,
It's that system.
it is every Xbox One is running at the same specs. Like if you factor in the Xbox One Pro, I've lost track of the console naming shit, but if you release
Okay.
it and you only test it on Xbox One Pro, you should be marketing it as only works on Xbox fucking One Pro. If you use a normal Xbox One, it's going to fuck out. Not having games come out and then not run on those consoles is a big fuck up. But as I said, putting that side of the way, I played it 6 months after release and I dodged most of the bug shit. It is a fucking phenomenal game. It's got a lot of life to it. It's really well filled out.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I put it up there with the Skyrim. Like honestly, I
Yeah.
think it's that good.
And
Yeah.
that's the thing. The secondary, like the side stories and stuff like that, actually feel like they put thought into it.
Yeah.
Like, you've played through it enough, Matt.
Yep.
The side mission about the fucking turtle.
I haven't played through the turtle one.
I
I found myself, and I do what I do in most RPGs. I found myself sort of running towards the end game, and then I go back and play it again. And the one limitation in this game actually is I found it really hard to go back and play again because the prologue is like 3 or 4 hours long. Like
Yeah.
it's a
And it
chunky
doesn't.
ass prologue. Like
Yeah, and despite saying that you can be this, or this, it changes very little up about the
Yep.
actual prologue.
it changes like
So,
the first 30 minutes of the prologue and gives you some conversation options through the game.
but yeah, you mind if I spoil one of the small side
No,
quests?
absolutely.
There's a side quest that you're trying to find out information about a police officer that's in your building. You
Yep.
get to what's essentially like, those memorial walls where they put the ashes of whatever in there? Turns out the one that he'd been mourning and all that kind of stuff was a fucking pet turtle. But they put it such a way that, like, it actually looks across to Johnny Silverhand afterwards, and your character's essentially doing what I was doing there, going, a fucking turtle? Really? And he just goes, look, imagine this. You've spent your entire week getting shit on by the rest of the population. All of your workmates are corrupt as all fuck. And then, end of the day, all you have to come home to is a fucking turtle. But that turtle sits there, listens to all of your problems. It's there while you cry. Then one day it dies. What would you do?
I fucking love Johnny Silverhand. He was like Keanu Reeves fucking nailed that character.
Yeah, but you see what I mean?
Yeah.
It could have just been a throwaway gag, side joke, whatever kind of thing. But in just a few words, the character made you actually stop and go, oh fuck, it was a turtle.
Yep.
Yeah.
I have feelings.
Yeah. Why am I feeling things for a fucking turtle?
And the thing is, like, even when some of the NPCs do die as well, it's not just
Sorry.
like, oh, and he's gone. Okay, moving on. You're like, yeah, and then like fucking 30 hours later in the game, you get another reminder of it. You're like, what the fuck, game? Like, seriously, guys, do you fucking hate me or what?
Yes.
And yet,
I
all
thought
the
we were
internet
done
shows
with
us are the comparisons between, again, going back to your original point in your previous game, all the internet fucking shows us is YouTubers and fucking comparisons between Cyberpunk and GTA 5, where they
Yeah.
all go, look
Yeah.
at GTA 5, it's fantastic, you can
Well-
pop tires, you can get accurate splashes in the water when you shoot bullets and all this kind of stuff. Whereas I haven't played either GTA 5 or Cyberpunk, but from discussions with people inside of work and outside of work and online and whatever,
Yeah.
people that I've talked with anyway believe that Cyberpunk has the far superior storyline, which is exactly what the two of you have just got into.
Yeah. Well,
And-
this is the thing, and it comes.
I'm sorry, it's GTA. Like, come on, storyline.
Yeah. Well,
I think we're fighting GTA fans.
Yeah, we are.
I'll fight
Mm.
any of them.
Oh,
The
there
big
are
thing
some fun bits in GTA, but yeah.
I have no doubt. Look, the big thing for all of us, and like this is what this conversation keeps looping back to for all of us, is all of us get joy out of stories. Like,
Oh
I
yeah.
mean, for me, Tegan and Ram, we've played so much D&D and other tabletop RPGs. Like, story is a huge part for us. Tegan's a massive reader. Like, Kami loves diving into every series, like whatever series or movie he's interested in. He dives headfirst into it, and not just like, oh, casually watch this while I'm doing something
Mm.
else. Like, we'll sit down and actively watch every fucking episode of Dragon Ball Z. Like, all of us draw, all of us draw more from story than anything else. Like,
Oh yeah.
I'm actually really
And
flattered that you know that, or that you acknowledge that.
yeah,
and that's
That,
why.
that gives me the warm and fuzzies.
Aw.
Oh,
but
shush,
but
Ian,
it's who
nobody
we
cares
are.
about you.
Like,
Anyway.
Yes, and off you fuck now.
Look, back on your box, dude.
but that's the thing. Like,
Uh,
it's for me with D&D, it's a big part of it is building a world, is building a character.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
I get really frustrated playing with people who don't care about their character, like who is like, and one of the examples that got thrown at me recently was a guy played a Warforged Plaid and had this really cool character concept. He was playing a Warforged, which is basically like a clockwork robot, a paladin, and his code was the Newton's laws of robotics. So like, don't
Mm.
kill other people. And like on paper, like how fucking cool does that character sound as a concept? Like
Mm.
sounds like really cool to play, really interesting role play. And then he turned it into Murderbot 5000. Um, so that's a limitation of the player, and that sort of stuff really fucking annoys me. Like,
Mm.
I have a similar idea for a character where, using Barbarian Rage and having him switch from like, super friendly helper bot to like Murderbot 5000 when he rages. Like, but
But that
again,
actually has a thing. It's flicking the
yeah,
switch.
absolutely. And then like the switch flicks back over, and he's like, why is there a pool of bodies around me? Like, what the fuck, guys? Like, I'm a
Yeah.
labor robot. Like, I help on the farm, and so again, it's that. But again, with something like that, with a good GM, you can build a lot of story around it. Like that's again, it comes coming back to my starting point. We all love stories. Like Lord of the
Mm.
Rings is one of the most epic stories ever told, and all of us love Lord of the Rings. Like, it's as I said, even Dragon Ball Z, like it is that noble, bright world, like with massive plot armor, or Naruto for me, like so much fucking plot armor. But we love them because it's that superhero story. Like it's good beats dark. Like it's not that great. I love my scales of grey as well on shows. But when I want something feel good, like I'll put on Naruto. Kami will put on Dragon Ball Z. Like it's that for that. I want to. I want to watch Goku kick the shit out of everybody. I want to watch Naruto kick the shit out of everybody, and that's going to make me feel good, or like, and that's what it is. But it still has that story to it. Like,
yep.
Mm.
I just want to watch Vegeta beat the shit out of everyone for once. Just please, just give me that, and I'll be happy.
It's, all I can think of now
Yamcha.
is just the abridged moment of just, how did you become a Super Saiyan? Lots of training.
Oh, it was so good. Just today, I was having a nap because I was up at some ungodly hour, but I was having a nap, and before I went to sleep, I was just laying there watching the DBZ abridged movie. I can't remember I think it was just I don't know the name of it because it wasn't actually a movie. It was based off animation from a game, and it was I think trying to destroy Christmas. It wasn't the Turles one. It was another one, and it was just
Mhm.
fucking glorious. It just had a side story of Vegeta trying to shoot down Santa. It was glorious, and they turned the main villain into Santa. He goes through each character's flaws and gets to Vegeta and he goes, I just hate you because you shot a hole in my sleigh. Yes! I got him once! I told you! And Vegeta eventually kills him. And they're just kind of going, no, Vegeta! And he just goes, Vegeta, yes! Merry Christmas from Vegeta! It's just so good. Sorry, I've railroaded just a bit, but oh my god.
That's all right. So, look, we all love stories, but I'm going to use that as a segue into Tegan's next game.
Oh, here's a game I have to constantly defend, specifically against one person in this room right now. And by room, I mean virtual
This
room.
chat.
This chat, this Discord channel.
I am.
Remy's looking straight up at Kami. Hang on, like, let's get this going. Like,
Matt, you're looking the wrong way.
You look the wrong way. Other way.
Okay. Oh,
I'm-
shit.
It-
I will end this call.
He's gonna hang up. No, I look generally because I really struggle with this topic. When you sent through sort of my ideas, what we can talk about, some things to get us all riled up.
Yep.
I had no problem picking games that I have to defend, hating.
Oh, that will
That was
come
a
up. That will come later.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and I'm
that's another
excited for
video.
that
That's
topic,
another
and
video.
I feel like I'll have more to say. It is this topic in particular I really struggle with because I don't I don't tend to have to defend a lot of games that I like.
Well, you started off strong with 76.
Oh, well, yeah, that's probably one. But this one, different to all other games mentioned so far, there is no storyline.
You
Really.
say Stardew Valley, I'm walking out.
I'm not going to say Stardew Valley.
I
There's no
like that
storyline.
game.
Matt's just brought up the difference between, you both did Cyberpunk graphics to GTA graphics. This game's graphics are not fantastic. But if I had to pick a top 5 games that I've ever played, this would be in the top 5. And that is Minecraft.
I still want us to start up a server with that.
I want to,
I know
but,
you want to.
but I won't.
Vanilla Minecraft, I
there was
could take or
hesitation.
leave. But some of the modded Minecrafts are fucking amazing.
I am talking plain basic vanilla, no mods, no what are they called?
No
Cosmetic
texture packs.
Texture
Take it-
packs.
That's
No
a legitimate
online.
claim. I would argue that even hardcore Minecrafters would find it hard to play Minecraft without mods.
I agree.
Yep.
I agree.
Oh.
I agree.
That
But part of the reason that even like big YouTubers for Minecraft don't want to play it without mods is because they've played the original so many fucking times.
Yeah.
I'm gonna let Tegan keep going on why for Minecraft. I'm not gonna take over.
So I have video proof. I have actual video proof. Kami has played Minecraft because my son made him.
if there
And
was
he
one
did-
person on this planet who was around at that point in time, because my son would also be able to have that power. But
Mm.
if there was one person on this planet that could have made me do it, it was Joey.
It was 8-year-old Joey.
When he was obsessed with Minecraft.
When he was absolutely obsessed with it. I know, I do defend it, and you're right. I probably would have to defend liking just the plain vanilla as his standard version. But that game is so brilliantly simple, and it is that. Okay, the storyline is very loose, and there's a lot of theories about the storyline, which I don't do the YouTubing thing beyond what Joe used to watch.
Yeah, I watch the YouTube ones, but I don't really care. I still enjoyed it.
Yeah. What I love about it is that it is proof that graphics don't fucking matter.
Hmm.
When you have got a game that is so interactive and so you get out of it as much as your imagination can give you. So if you're a sort of person that can't do theater of the mind or really can't imagine things, I can see how you wouldn't get a lot out of the game. But for someone who is quite creative and really enjoys that side of thing, that game in its purest form is fucking got endless possibilities for you.
That's the thing. As I've said before, I have what's called aphantasia, which is unable to visualize.
Yep.
I fucking loved that game.
Yep.
I was actually a part of the Minecraft fan base back before it was in beta.
Hmm.
I played the alpha.
Wow.
I bought it back when it was $5 because it was just starting out on Mojang.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Wow.
But I remember arguing with Kami about this years and years and years ago. we don't talk about it anymore.
Mm.
We just avoid it. But one of your biggest things was, but the graphics. And I'm like, I feel like that's such a...
It's not a solid argument.
It's a baseless argument, yeah.
It annoys me for this one game only. I know that's a piss weak argument. But for me personally, it's just the blocky nature of it, and I know that's the art style of it. And again, I had for hear me out. I had I had to, so I had to throw that in there once.
Plug.
Had to throw it in there once. Basically,
Oh, he's gonna do it. He's gonna say the name of the show.
It's just a bunch of hocus pocus.
basically, I had the same argument with Rem before I met you two about Borderlands. I hated
Oh,
its art style initially. I thought
dude.
back in the day it's just because they cheaped out on graphics. This was only when there was one game, might I add.
Yeah.
And I had a discussion with Mitch about the same thing, but for Borderlands, and that was me 10
Game of
years
Spider-Man.
ago. Today, definitely graphics mean a lot less to me than they did back then. Graphics for me are a bonus, but if someone goes for good graphics and does not achieve good graphics, I have issues. If someone intentionally
Yes.
goes
You can
for good
tell.
story and okay graphics or just graphics, cool, you've nailed what you've set out to nail to achieve. And with Minecraft, I fully admit and admire its level of intricacy, the things that the possibilities of what you can build alone, let alone everything else you can do apart from building. Minecraft is a truly amazing game on that premise. The thing that annoys me about it, and I hate that I fall into this boat, I really do. It's I label it as the Frozen syndrome. People hate Frozen, the movie Frozen, because of the bandwagon that everyone jumped on. Because their kids love it, because everyone else loves it, you hate it.
I feel
Parents
like
hated Frozen because they were so fucking sick of "Let It Go."
Yeah, but I've seen that many YouTube videos on it. I see that many kids or streamers or people getting big off just streaming Minecraft or talking about Minecraft and all this kind of stuff. It's just that's where my initial dislike of the game came from. I just wanted to avoid. I don't like a lot of bandwagons, and part of my internal
avoid
process
the
of
hype
mentality.
train.
Sorry.
I think
Yeah, I avoid the hype
Avoid the
train.
hype train.
Yeah, not all the
I
time.
think I think the reason Minecraft is so big in the YouTube space, especially, is because it is a universal game. You you can play it as a 5-year-old kid, you can play it as a 99-year-old adult and get something different out of
Mhm.
it. So the universality of it is one of its
And
biggest flavors.
to top it off as well, like it's accessible as a game to almost anybody. Like if you sit there and I mean, look at Cyberpunk, right? You only owned a PS4, you didn't buy a PS5, suck shit, you can't play it. You didn't have a high-end graphics card, suck shit, you can't play it. You can play Minecraft on like mobile fucking phones these days, on Switch, on every console, on every old console. You can run it on a fucking potato PC. Like the game everybody has access to it, like, or pretty close to everybody has access to it. Shit, there are people that are running it out of web browsers, like modified versions of it running out of web browsers now.
The other thing
Like,
I'll say about it, and I think it has really paved the way for future video game development,
oh
because
fuck yeah.
you've got people creating their own video games within a video game sphere, and these people are going to go on, like potentially Joey or kids younger, etc., that have grown up with Minecraft.
How many hours of 7 Days to Die do you have on your channel?
I was about to say, yeah, 7 Days to Die. I'm pretty sure it's a direct derivative of
Yeah,
Minecraft. And
it is.
just looking up the amount of time I've spent on 7 days right now, 720 24 hours.
Yeah, and
And that's
it's
all because of Mojang. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not sure if Ark has. No, Ark has less. 200 hours less, but still, 7 days to
still,
die.
Ark, the construction style in Ark is derivative of Minecraft. It all traces back to Minecraft. Minecraft
Yeah.
was the first game to really do it in that way, in that extreme way. But even from a survival game, right? Again, unmodded, no fucking nothing extra on there. I'm telling you now, right? I've played heaps of 7 Days to Die, and it doesn't take long before suddenly you're not afraid of anything in 7 Days to Die, right? Like with the base building, you can modify pathing, you can do stuff like that. Even going out and hunting, like unless you go like full fucking dumbass, you can go out and raid buildings relatively safely after about 6 to 7 hours in a server, right? Like you have that confidence to do it. Minecraft, I've played it. Tegan and I have played in worlds that we've got 30, 40 hours up on, and I'm still fucking dying going through caves. Like, whether it's, that I'm falling off bridges, whether it's that I'm getting attacked and killed, whether it's creepers are finding me and blowing me up, it is a
Hardcore.
fucking hard game. Yeah, absolutely.
yeah.
It's
Hardcore.
usually parkour for me.
But like messing around with the kids, like Luna's got an obsession with playing hardcore and did for a long time. I kept fucking dying in hardcore games. Like, it's something that I'd love for the four of us to do is try and finish the game, like get to the end game, kill the Ender Dragon in a hardcore world. But it's fucking tough, guys. Like, it
Yeah.
is hard. Like, and it's like, again, 7 days to die. You're like, oh, I've got to make sure we got food supply, but it doesn't take you long before you got your food supply on lockdown, right? Minecraft is way harder in that aspect of it. Like,
Yeah, and that's the thing. You can play a game of it for literally over a year in game, and you never even get close to the end. You
Yeah.
may have just completely mind blanked, and you've got yourself your own lovely farm now instead.
Do you
But-
remember the first time we went to the Nether?
yep.
Oh my god, that was a nightmare. We kept attacking the pigmen. Because again, we hadn't seen things. We didn't know. We just saw these
Yeah.
grotesque things come towards us. We're fucking shooting them.
They
How
look
many
like
times did we
zombies.
die?
Oh, fuck, so many
We
times.
spent like 12 hours just trying to get from the portal.
I got lucky in that with the pigmen because I started mining into a wall and then just heard the and turned around, and there he was just standing there. It's
Yep.
just,
took
is everything
Joey,
okay?
it took Joey, our 7-year-old son, to explain to us that you don't attack them and they won't attack
That's
you.
because we weren't going and looking on YouTube for an answer.
We
It's
weren't,
like,
yeah. We were doing it the hard way. We hadn't seen any spoilers. We were like, what does this do? We don't
Yeah.
know. Let's fucking give it a
Yeah.
go.
But this is the thing. It is a genuinely hard game. But the flip side
Oh,
of it
yeah.
is Joe was playing it when he was 7 and having a ball playing it. Luna was
Joey was
playing
playing it at 5,
Yeah, Luna's been playing it since she was like 4 or 5 as well, and loves the
a bit
game. Like,
younger.
and then you've got the amazing things that people build in it. Like, there are some amazing mod packs out there for it that basically take the engine of the game and redo the whole thing. Like, there is some awesome stuff, and the way when Mojang first released it, they never tried to stop people modding it. Like, it was like targeted to be modded. They
Yeah.
gave away the source code for it. Like, Microsoft have cracked down on that a little bit, but nowhere near as bad as they could have. Like, there's so many different mods. Like, you can play fucking wizards. There's a massive Pokemon mod for it. Like, you can be a Pokemon trainer in Minecraft. Like,
The Pokemon Minecraft
Pixelmon.
game is like a game in and of itself. Like,
Yeah.
it is,
you run
Yeah.
around, you catch Pokemon, you can battle with Pokemon. Like,
yeah.
Wow.
You
it's
can,
you
yeah.
know there is some amazing stuff that the community has put into it, and like Tegan was saying, the modding opportunities that these people have had with this game, so many of the people that were modding this 10-15 years ago are now working in the games industry. Going and working
Yeah.
for a AAA studio or going working for an indie studio that are pumping out games. Like, look at Valheim. Like, that was
Yeah.
again another derivative of Minecraft, but I can almost guarantee that those guys started, writing mods for Minecraft.
Essentially, what happened with Minecraft is, imagine if Blizzard with the Warcraft 3 saw what they were doing with the battle maps and just went, you know what? Fucking sweet, do you. We're not going to stop you. Do whatever you want.
fucking
Take it
rock
wherever
on,
you want.
guys. Like, go hard.
Forgive me, I'll stick up to the bathroom. Continue the Minecraft discussion. Don't jump over to Mitch until I get back. I'll be right back.
The other thing I
Is-
really like about Minecraft is it's a universal. It's actually making connections across countries, across
yeah.
cultures, across
That's the thing.
race,
There
religion,
is,
values, whatever.
I know that over in China with some of how they've locked down knowledge and stuff like that, they have people going onto Minecraft, going onto a world library that's in it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And
Exactly.
that is back last year when we flooded, Griffith University built its university in Minecraft and the students went to do their classes in there.
That's right.
Fucking cool.
Minecraft have actually created, Mojang have actually created an education package of Minecraft that schools can purchase, and they're using it to teach children about chemistry, physics, coding, computers, science, a fucking plethora of different things. Environmental studies. This is what happens if you don't do this to your crops. Um, what's the other word I'm looking for? Like climate change sort of stuff. And they're using a Minecraft world for children to be able to go in and explore these concepts. And what I really love about that, obviously coming from an education background myself, is it's about teaching children critical thinking skills.
Yeah.
It
Oh,
is
yeah.
not it is not we live in a world where everything is prescribed to us. If you need to know something, you've got the fucking world in your hand, you've got the answer in your hand. But a game and a concept like Minecraft forces children to think. It forces critical thinking skills, but it also forces critical doesn't force, but it encourages critical evaluation skills as well. And I think that's really, really one of its strengths in its universal in the universal appeal for it.
Yeah.
It's so it can be so much more than a video game.
But that's the thing. Even the absolute basics of it, like redstone logic, right? It teaches.
Mm.
It is all completely logical, right?
Circuitry.
So, but it teaches logical circuitry. And these people that have built like functional fucking
Computers,
computers on there have done it with redstone. Like, just that's phenomenal. Like, it is literally like computer science. It is the best lesson you can do on computer science of how a computer works is looking at that stuff. Like, it's extremely nerdy, and it's like, but again, like Tegan's right. It's so much more than just another video game.
and for children who have learning difficulties, for example, our son, he has dyslexia. For other children who have ADHD and find sitting in a classroom difficult to follow a lesson plan, having something like Minecraft as a platform for children to explore critical concepts is a really great way because children learn through their own interests. So it's applying that learning through a platform that they already know how to engage with and enjoy, but you're putting that critical learning onto it as well.
Yeah, but even like, and it comes back to the whole thing of like me learning. If you hand me a textbook, I'm not going to learn from it. Like, I am technically capable of learning from it, but I will not. It won't engage me. It won't interest me. But the work that I do
Oh,
and the
yeah.
stuff that I learn, like, I do a lot of reading for it. Um, and I love it, but it's very hands on. Like, and that's the thing. Minecraft, you talk about using it for understanding environmentals or understanding circuitry or understanding all these different things. People are able to be hands on with it, and that then has more
Yeah,
application for them.
that's right. It's not a it takes it's obviously still theoretical, but the education version of Minecraft. So Kami schools can buy an education version of Minecraft to use, and it is part of built into the Australian curriculum to be able to use it. It's not just, oh, this is what happens when you put chemical A with chemical B. There is a curriculum, Minecraft platform. The children go in, they put the chemicals together and experience what happens when you put those chemicals together. So it's bringing that educational platform
Shit.
into this living scenario for them.
Mm.
It is the vision that you see in sci-fi movies of children in virtual reality experiencing the world to learn. Minecraft education version is the step forward in that.
So Minecraft has been publicly released for 11 years, like as in full release for 11 years. I mean, the alpha was a few years before that, like beta and alpha were a few years before that as well. But how many games that are over a decade old are still seeing that much playtime? Like, COD
Still
gets
that
updated
popular,
every year. Pardon?
and it's still that popular on
And it's
YouTube.
still that popular. Absolutely. Yeah. Like, they're still
Yeah.
getting massive amounts of playtime. Like,
You
Dota
could
is slowly
go.
dropping off, and that's only
Yeah.
7 or 8 years old now. Like,
Yeah.
Dota 2.
That's the thing. I played freaking Minecraft when I was essentially a kid myself because that is how old it is. And I can talk to a kid today and they have a fucking creeper shirt on.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
It is cross generational, which not many
Yep.
games can tout.
Exactly.
Yep.
Like,
Cross-generational, universal, crosses religion, oceans,
and
culture,
that
race.
and that's the thing. Any of these old school games, if we turn around and showed them to most kids today, they're gonna have zero interest in it. Like, No Man's Sky has had updates, has had all the stuff, but graphically, it's still a 7 or 8 year old game now. Like, it's not a visually pretty game anymore, so it doesn't have that interest. Like, whereas Minecraft, the graphics are shitty, but they're designed to be shitty. Like, you know, and yeah, you can load texture packs, but at the end of the day, it's
Not
still
designed to be shitty. They're designed to be basic, so
simple. Sorry,
you
yeah,
get out of it what you put into it.
yeah, absolutely.
I'm
It's a
sick
good
of
way to put it.
people saying, yeah, I do get a bit triggered when people say, "Oh, the graphics are shit." Well, they're not actually shit. That you're limiting yourself by saying that they're shit.
Sorry, that's
I know. I'm
They're not
triggered.
shit, you're shit.
That's right.
help! I'm being oppressed.
Ah, dear.
But yes, that is my 2 games.
Awesome. Cool. Mitch, do you have a second?
Yeah, one that caught a lot of flack back when it first came out, but
Don't say
also,
Stardew or Minecraft. If you double up on Minecraft, I'm.
well, I could, but no. Final Fantasy 13.
Oh,
Haven't played it.
oh! Tell me more.
That's the thing. Final Fantasy 13,
I saw you
what a lot of
playing this
people
recently.
hate,
Steam.
what a lot of people have hated on for it is up to that point, it was the usual Final Fantasy style thing, you know, the select attack, select the creature, select the spell,
JRPG.
etc., etc.
Turn by turn.
Final Fantasy 13 switched it all up and had an automatic combat system, and instead you would assign characters roles, and it would go through like that, which sounds like a what the fuck kind of moment, but it actually worked out fairly well. But a lot of people who were in Final Fantasy for the hardcore turn based system were having major issues with it.
See, I mean, look, I never massively played the Final Fantasy series, but I'm familiar with JRPGs. For me, like having Pokemon being like, well, I'm going to send Pikachu out, and he's going to do whatever the fuck he wants. That's not appealing to me.
Yeah, but that's the thing. It became people were having an issue because they looked at it and went, you know, oh, the characters, all I have to do is set them all onto the Ravager, which is their spellcaster, or the Commando, which is their melee thing, and that's it. No. The further you got into the game, the more you'd get fucked up if you thought like that. You could have up to 20 different systems, like 20 different things of what you would set your group to, and you'd be able to change them on the fly during the combat. And quite often it was okay, so the enemy is going to be doing this for about 10 more seconds, so I've got to switch to this one, which will change up this. And it became very much a full on tactics style thing.
A different style of tactics for it.
Yeah, which I actually thrived with, and honestly, it has also got a great story to it. A lot of people bitched because it had one character they didn't like, which, spoiler if you haven't played it, was Hope.
Well,
He was the teenage kid, angsty as all fuck. They purposely made it so that something bad happened to his mum that was caused by one of the other characters in the party, and had all of that shit going on in the background. But that's the thing. They played it as if it was still going on in the background. They played it, they actually had the story react around these things, and you had to pay attention or else you'd miss some of that shit.
The funniest part of all this for me is that if it did, like, again, I haven't played it and I don't really follow the Final Fantasy series, but it got panned at release. But then Final Fantasy 14 is like fucking booming. It's almost, it's not quite, and no other game is ever going to truly rival WoW. Like, it's going to be a fucking long time, but it's close. Like, it is one of the bigger MMOs in the world right now. Yeah, it's, you know, and again, it's that same WoW style, that same standard MMO. Cycle through your 6 different attacks, and off you go.
Oh yeah.
And look, I haven't played past the first, I think, hour of Final Fantasy 13. I don't actually remember it much. I can visually tell you what the first scene looks like, but that's about it. That's how long ago I played it. But from what I've seen online, a lot of the gripe was there's a narrow corridor somewhere, or a corridor that you have to go down, which is just too long, too linear for a lot of people out there. But at the same point
Yeah.
in time, I think if you've played it, Mitch, you know what I'm talking about. I have no idea. I've just seen again in the list of like 10 most whatever lists on YouTube.
Uh,
But
the issue that a lot of people had with it was the fact that, like how Final Fantasy VII was. Oh, bye, Matt.
bye, Matt.
But yeah, like Final
Matt
Fantasy
doesn't like what
VII
you're saying about the
was
game.
He
the
rage quit.
first
Rage quit.
the first half of the game, I'd say. Well, it's not actually half. There's quite a bit more after that, but spoilers. But the first portion of it is linear, but that's how it is for a lot of the Final Fantasy games. Until you get to a certain point, it is you go this way.
Yeah,
You
I
go
mean,
through, do this, and it opens up later.
In the
yeah, like
previous games have set the precedence. I don't have a problem with linear games in and of themselves, but if you're going to be a linear game, be a linear game. Don't try and change the buck halfway through a series.
yeah, like I'm very thankful and respectful of games like Final Fantasy 13 because of what's happened as a result. What I mean by that is like one of my top 3 games of all time, period, is Final Fantasy 7, right?
Mm.
And I will stand by the remake of that till the cows come home. I love the remake of Final Fantasy 7, and it is really linear most of the way through until you get, as you said, to certain areas where it just opens the fuck up. And
Yeah.
then it closes back down again for the story. And it has a very similar style, as I'm sure you know, right, to what you're describing in Final Fantasy 13. You have your character, and the others are just doing what they do best, but you can switch between them,
Mm.
right? And they're never going to be as good as they can be unless you're controlling them. But at the same point in time, not a turn by turn thing anymore. And I really enjoyed that style of I really enjoyed that style of gameplay in the remake, and having Final Fantasy 13 first lay down the foundation for that gameplay to begin. Um, yeah,
Yeah.
thankful for that.
And that's the thing. A game can try something new. It won't always work, but they can try something new. It is not the end of the world if your most beloved game switches a few things up.
I mean, case in point is Arceus. Like, Pokemon Arceus just revolutionized how those games play. And I mean, it looks like the formula worked for them because they're about to release the 2 new ones, which I can't fucking wait to come out. And they're adding multiplayer in, like proper session-based multiplayer, like which is something that I'm genuinely excited about.
Yeah.
Like they've
Oh, god damn it, I'm going to have to buy a Pokemon game again.
yes, you are.
Yeah, you are.
So we have 2 Switches in our house now, so that'll be fine. Yeah.
That
So
is
yeah,
going to
it's
be a moment for us. Okay, we're playing it on stream, but only one of us has the ability to connect it up. The rest of us?
I can see it now. We're all in that, all keen for the story. I'm just rallying so to Mewtwo. Oh god, you better
What are
pray
you
he's not in
doing,
that game.
Mitchell? I am staying in this grass until I find the Cubone.
explain to me how you think Arceus was so different to all the ones before it.
so all the other ones, everything was
I'm
battle
sensing a
based.
loaded
Like it was,
question.
yeah, I feel like it's a loaded question. Yeah, I mean, look, okay, let me redo that statement because they have massively changed the game in the open world in that you as a player can actually get attacked by Pokemon. That was a big change for them. They're actually having to throw the ball properly, and they didn't make it a huge skill check, but it's not just like I'm going to cycle through a menu and choose to throw a ball now. Like it's different Pokemon reacted in different ways. They actually gave Pokemon themselves a bit more character in that way. Like it's, you read through the Pokedex entries and it's like, oh, it's mostly a peaceful creature. Oh, cool, great. And walking through the grass, a Caterpie jumps out and tries to fucking kill you, like over and over again in the old games. Whereas one of the things they changed with Arceus is Pokemon had different temperaments. So, the Caterpie, as an example, I can't even remember finding them, but they would naturally try and run away from a fight. Whereas, your aggressive style Pokemon will actively attack you. Like if you don't have the Pokemon like ready to go to fight them, you have to actually run away from them. You have to evade their attacks. Like, there's some cool stuff in there. Like, and that was, I feel like it was Niantic really dipping their toe in the water on it, and I
Mm.
think the experiment has paid off for them. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
but again, it still has those same elements. Like when you actually get into a battle, Pokemon v Pokemon, it is that same thing. It's that tactical. They haven't stripped that part out of the game either.
But you could still run around those battles 360 as a trainer, and I found in those battles, if I stood in the wrong part when my Pokemon was attacked, if that attack followed through, it would still hit me, the trainer.
Yeah, yeah,
The
they've added
only
way more depth to the game because of it as well.
the only thing that I really disliked about that game was the fact that to go from one area to another, you had to go back to the village first.
Yeah, that's kind of annoying.
That
But again,
really annoyed me.
it was a experiment for them
Yep.
as well.
Yep.
And
Anyway,
it
Yeah.
sounds like they've taken good feedback on board. And yeah, but as I said, having like 4 of us go out and actually explore the Pokemon world is looking awesome.
Yeah, and I'm hoping that it's a lot more to do out in there. Like when they first introduced the wilds, that was a great thing, but at the same time, I got annoyed because
this short sword
the
and shield.
yeah,
Yeah.
when they introduced the wilds, it was a great idea. They just didn't follow it through into the rest of the game.
I would have liked it more in that one if we're railroading a little bit, but oh, thank you, Mitch. By the way, I completely forgot to put your thing in. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you. But no, it's just I would have liked it more if they opened up more areas that were not linked to that one area. I appreciate being able to get back and go to all those areas at once. I appreciate that. But at the same point in time, it didn't really feel like much progression when cool, you've now unlocked an extra component to the area you've already been to. Go back there and just go through this one cavern. It's just, cool. I've gone through this town now. Like Kanto, for example. It's all still bunched up, but you can't go to here unless you go through this one first. And when you open up another area, it's because you've gone through that one and it's connected to that. Then you go there. It's linear to a degree, but it's a clear pathway. Whereas you're not
Oh, the
going,
original Pokemon games are absolutely linear, man. Absolutely,
yeah,
they are.
yeah, 100%.
Yeah,
But it's still not okay. Cool. Now go back to here so you can go to a wider area. Now go forward, then go back to go to a bigger area. Go forward, go back bigger area. Right? It was just Matt's frozen, but yeah, I don't know. I enjoyed Sword and Shield for the most part, but I yeah.
yeah. I admit I never actually finished Sword and Shield because that did become too repetitive.
Matt, you might want to turn your camera on and off. You're sitting there looking like you're getting high, my friend.
I
Maybe
think he's
no, he's not.
maybe full on frozen.
Yeah, he's
Hagen, can you
he's
just check on Matt, make sure he's not frozen?
he's good. He's doing something.
Because if he's frozen, the camera's fine, then we have problems.
Well, I'm going to say something that's probably going to upset you then. Played one Pokemon game, played them all.
Look, you're not really wrong.
Yeah,
But
I get sick of having to buy what I perceive as the same fucking game in 2 versions over and over and over again.
but in
Madden.
saying that, Sonic, Mario, Zelda, Mario Kart,
The
I
only
played
one
them
of
all.
those no, the only one of those I've actually purchased is Mario Kart, and that's more because of my kids. I don't play the other ones, and nor have I bought them,
And
probably for that reason.
while it
Yeah.
happens, a lot of the games you just mentioned have a lot less of exactly what's happening in Pokemon. Pokemon is like Madden.
Yeah, absolutely.
Madden football, for instance. Next year, it comes out with a few more players and so on.
It's the same as the wrestling games, and I will actually say I used to buy every WWE fucking game every year when it updated, purely because I had to have the certain
The
characters.
new rosters and
I buy
Yeah.
every Forza Motorsport game every time. Not the Horizon games, but the normal Motorsport games. I buy them every time.
the whole thing is, I mean, yeah, look, to defend Niantic on that, look, they're the same game over and over again, but they're also not actually targeted us as a demographic.
Oh hell
Like,
no.
I feel the need to point that out there. Like, we
Yep.
are not
We're
their
just a
target
bit
market
too
for it.
old.
Well, not anymore. I feel like they were going with us, our age group, for a while, and then they
Yep.
just jumped back to entry level
But
again.
there is one game series that did that perfectly. It was called Jack and Daxter. The
Yeah,
first game
I
felt
haven't
like a
played it.
very light-hearted kids kind of one. The second game felt like it was more aimed towards teens, and the last game became much more grown up. You got guns and things like that, and became much more gritty. They
Okay.
actually, as it went on, grew up with the players,
Anyway,
which
Again,
I've never seen a game do before.
look, I mean, and again, Pokemon, a little bit like Minecraft, they're going to keep minting money off it while they can.
100%.
Like,
Oh,
people
yeah.
people still love those games. I do find that the new games do much more hand holding, which is mildly frustrating. I
Let's
find a
Go
lot of games
Pikachu and
do that,
Eevee
but
were frustrating as all hell.
yeah, like
Never
there's no
played
option.
them.
It's like, I've played every fucking
Yeah.
Pokemon game. Let me skip this shit. Like, not a 2-hour fucking tutorial.
Yeah. Anyway, without going down that rabbit hole, for the interest of time,
Yes.
we've got one more to go. And again, this one, I know that there is one person who, at least here, who absolutely hates this game with a fiery passion.
Is it Matt?
I don't believe it's Matt.
Oh.
Well,
I'm just
finger over the disconnect.
Big Best.
He's flipping you off, so I thought he might know what it is.
I
I'm
don't
pretty sure I
don't
have an
prepared.
idea of what it is.
then it's
yeah.
gonna be
So
wrong.
basically, when this game came out in, hang on, when was it? 2009.
Oof.
I'm not using this as a talking point, right? But this graphics, especially the cutscenes, were next level because you saw the gameplay, which was one thing. Then you saw the graphics, which were just beyond anything in this series by a landslide, and it was just how. It essentially
Oh, of course, Halo Reach.
that used the same engine as Halo. Fuck off. But it is Halo Wars.
Yeah, I kind of guessed that.
Yeah. So Halo Wars was built for. It was built for consoles. It was the first and only, apart from Halo Wars 2, RTS RTS game that I own and will willingly play on a console. It was built. What is it doing?
That looks.
Dead to the
Anyway.
world.
Yeah.
Oh, anyway.
This is not a Triple X podcast.
Anyway, Halo was right. Its gameplay, yeah. What in
Here we
terms
go.
of
Here's someone
comparing
who's
it to
interested.
RTS games, especially on PC, right? I've been rubbing my eyes too much. In terms of RTS, especially on PC, there's chalk and cheese in terms of gameplay itself, right? But the fact that it was built for a console, and if you use a controller for it and understand this is built for a console, the controls are super simple, very easy. It's the as yeah, it was the story was the first one that we came across that didn't rely on Chief as well. It was the first one that had multiple Spartans in it. It opened up the universe to a whole other level of lore and backstory. You know, this was set 20 years before the first game's narrative, right? So it was absolutely a breath of fresh air, and it even came out before ODST. So but it was completely different. 15 missions long, which may not is by RTS standards short, but in terms of gameplay, again, absolutely fantastic. And for someone who's as into Halo as I am, I thought the story was absolutely engaging, beautiful every step of the way. And even I was very much like Chief or no Chief, it must be Chief, right? That's it back then. And for me to be drawn into a game without Chief, it speaks volume.
I've watched Joey play a little bit of Halo Wars.
I've never played it. Yeah.
The Halo. I loved Halo 1. I played a little bit of Halo 2, but I find I'm not a huge fan of Halo overall. Like, and I think you
Yeah.
know that as well. But it's
I don't
I'll,
dislike it, but I'm not a big fan. I could take it or leave it. It's like, meh.
that's the thing for me is it massively feels meh. Like, um, yeah, but that's again personal
Fuck
opinion,
off,
and it's
Mitch.
sort of
Eating this
that's
up.
purely personal opinion. But it is one of those things. It's I find the whole universe for Halo meh. Like,
The reason it's not a big thing for me is because when Halo first came out, I was a teenager and it was literally the world of you are either a PlayStation player or you're an Xbox player. And I was a PlayStation player.
PlayStation for life.
So
Nintendo.
I don't have the nostalgia attachment to it. I'm pretty sure that's what it is for me.
No, see,
Hmm.
I did play a shitload of Halo 1 as a kid, like as a teenager. Yeah, and did the split screen thing, and we did LAN parties with, there was like a whole group of like 7 or 8 of us. We'd take our Xboxes over to this dude's house, the massive cable running from upstairs to downstairs, like, and we would play, like, all of us would play, capture the flag deathmatch games. I watched all of Red versus Blue as a kid, like,
Yeah, I actually prefer the LAN games, like the capture the flag, the one where you just
Speaking
smack
of
each
LAN and
other.
connectivity, this was the first RTS game that I ever played anyway. And I think that I own, or at least know of to this day, that allows you to play through the campaign co-op.
yeah,
An RTS co-op. Like, I know I've played through the first 3 levels at least with Tegan.
Mm.
Kind of coax her into Halo
see,
Wars.
again, that for me comes back to the fact that I've always been a PC gamer at heart. Like, I got into PlayStation, I got into Xbox as a kid as well, but I remember cutting my teeth on Total Annihilation and Age of Empires 1 and games like that as an RTS. And for me, for Halo Wars, I appreciate what they tried to do, and I think they executed it fairly well from what I've seen, but it doesn't feel like a real RTS to me. Like,
No.
again, like, I spent like hundreds of hours playing StarCraft 1, and again, like, on dial-up modems and playing on Battle.net with dial-up. That for me is like, that is the penultimate RTS game these days. But even playing Total Annihilation games like that, like, I remember watching the planes fly, like the 3D planes that actually did barrel rolls and shit in the air as they were doing combat. And this is going back 20 plus years now. As like the pinnacle of visuals for these games.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely, like, I know what you're saying, and I get that. I mean, in every other RTS out there, you can build where you want and what you want with minor limitations. Like, I know that Age of Mythology, for example, you've got to build your town center on an available plot specifically for a
Yeah,
town center. And I know that, StarCraft, for example, you got to build Zerg stuff on creep, and you know, there are
but
there,
you've
there
got
are
that
minor
freak.
limitations, right?
Yeah,
Whereas Halo Wars, you've again, like Age of Mythology, you've got to build your initial base on a specific one of specific plots, right? And from that, you expand the base. You upgrade the base to allow more plots surrounding said base, with a maximum of two, three, five, five plots for buildings. And that's it. So you've really got to. So it's annoying in that sense that you can't just build a building over here where you want, or have a strategic building over there. You got to build it on that base. If that base goes down, you're fucked, right? At
Oh,
the same
yeah.
point in time, you've got to be super strategic around what buildings you build, when you upgrade those buildings, what units you're producing. It created for me, being in that kind of my RTS mindset, for me, having the balance of units, resources, and time management, it was right up my alley. And to this day, if I ever play that game with a friend, I will do my absolute best to try and coax them into controlling all the units. I'll let them go rampant with the units all over the map. I'll just sit back and just fucking build the base. That's all I'll do. I'll just sit there, control the base, just manipulate the buildings, destroy one to build another, get more units out for my ally. and just sit there building that to make sure the economy is as perfect as it can be, for that balance. And that's just kind of just why, I don't
I
know,
admit
it's kind of
that's
just hit every nail pretty good
yeah.
for me.
I admit that's probably one of the things that actually ended up killing it for me. You doing that, I when I play RTS, I usually don't do the army thing. I usually like building the big defensible base. So in going, oh yeah, you control all the units, I'm going to do all of this. It essentially went, sweet, you're going to put me into an RTS that I don't like, and then you're going to take away one of the few things I do like to do in an RTS. Have fun.
See, I remember playing Age of Empires and like loving building a fucking castle wall, like massive ass wall
Oh
around my
yeah.
base and all that sort of shit.
Yeah.
But again, the big game for me that I played as a teenager as an RTS was definitely StarCraft One. I played it pretty much all through high school with a bunch of mates, and I loved it. Like, and that was, you know, StarCraft Two still has those elements for me. Like, I I don't, you know, I've stopped trying to play, you know, in any sort of ranked structure now, but it's that is an RTS to me, like, you know, those sorts of games. And Halo was, I remember looking at it as a kid because I had the original Xbox, and it never really appealed to me because it was like, it didn't feel like a real RTS, like, and that's again my personal opinion, but even watching Joey play it, I'm like, it kind of feels a little bit like an idle factory game, like an idle ticker game.
Yeah, yeah, that's fair. Cool. Any closing or final statements? Nope, nope,
Uh,
cool.
I'm glad
oh,
that none of us said Call of Duty.
We can all still be friends.
yeah. Apart from a few little jabs in here, I have to admit, a lot of the games which we say are not very liked were still liked within our groups and liked within the
Fuck you and your
niches that
Halo
they were
Wars
meant to go
dissing.
into.
Fuck all of you.
Yeah, look, 7 out of the 8 games that were mentioned were actually pretty good. So,
Yeah.
Oh dear.
no,
Oh,
but
that was
I think part of that reflects of who we are as a group of friends as well. Like, as I sort of went on my tirade earlier.
I think that's going to change though when it comes to games that we don't like. So this
yeah.
is defending games that we do like. I think when we start talking about games that we don't like, that's where I think it's going to be a little bit more.
What game do you
Yeah.
constantly having to defend disliking? Minecraft. No, anyway.
Yes.
um,
And we'll have to ask, why outside of graphics?
Mm.
I mean, look, I could definitely argue the case of why Minecraft is terrible, if I really wanted to, but that's not actually how I feel about it. So,
yeah, but anyway,
This is the
awesome.
debating skill, isn't it? You have to be able to debate whether
yeah,
you agree
Well,
with the topic or not.
that's it. And the four of us
absolutely.
discussed and agreed very early on that whatever happens in here stays in here. This is purely an opinion-based thing. It's,
Yeah.
I mean, I know
Nope.
for a fact that at least one, maybe two people sitting in here right now want the blood to spill. Um, they want something to happen. So it's going to happen at some point. Questions will be asked, things will be raised, and there will be playful discussions or arguments, I guess,
Oh, it'll be
moving
heated
forward.
discussion,
Oh,
but it's
100%. We're going to get there, but it's not going to cause any rift between us,
We're
Tegan,
starting.
and Minecraft. But other than no, anyway, awesome. Cool. So basically, tonight I've seen as a massive failure because we still don't know who the fucking rats are. But otherwise, thank you so much for watching our very first episode of Hear Us Out. Tomorrow, I'm gonna hear me out. Latest episode on YouTube, where I elaborate on whether, in my opinion, may now be thrown to the dust after Halo Wars. But I believe, in my opinion, that the character of Boba Fett is severely overrated. More on that tomorrow. But
I am triggered. Triggered.
the purpose of the Hear Me Out videos are me expressing unpopular
argue with you.
opinions.
He's silencing us.
Help, I'm being oppressed.
The purpose of hear us out discussions like this, right? Clean slate, all on the table, cards on the table, right? Hear me out. Anyone who wants to get involved is purely expressing an opinion, an unpopular opinion. So I know my opinion is unpopular, but I believe the character of Boba Fett is completely overrated, and I'll explain in that video tomorrow.
And
But
in other news, he also likes to punch small puppies.
what? No.
I still think we let Kami do his hear me out, and then the other three of us jump in and like, now let me tell you how fucking wrong you are.
Well, that's it. That is a proposed thing. If you guys want to see the four of us hash out my previous hear me out videos, because I know, again, for a fact, we do not see eye to eye on my opinions on a lot of those.
I think you should talk about how your personal opinions on Rogue One with me and Tegan in the room, because I know how that conversation is going to go.
Anyway, thank you so much for your time, for your patience, but most importantly, thank you for hearing us out. Until next time, stay safe, and I'll see you all again soon. We're planning on doing these every 2 weeks, but stay updated on, I guess, YouTube for more Hear Me Out, and Discord for updates. But yeah, until next time, bye.
Bye.
Farewell.